In lane 2 for Israel, Moran Samuel. In lane 3 for France, Nathalie Benoit. Lane 4 for Germany, Manuela Diening. And lane 5 for Brazil, Claudia Cicero Sabino.
Argentina, Israel, France, Germany, Brazil, attention.
There we have it, the first race of the day. It's the repechage for the PR1 women's single sculls. Eliminations in this round, only 4 can go through to the A final. So it's a race to not be last, because the last place in this race will go through to the B final. So not quite eliminated from competition, but will be progressing through to the B final to contest places 7 through 12 in the PR1 women's singles rankings. Off to a quick start here, but making the early lead, Nathalie Benoit for France.
Dostáváme se k prvním jízdám, tedy opravným jízdám paraveslování, konkrétně skifařky ženy, které tady jedou ve složení Argentiny, Izraele, Francie, Německa, Brazílie. Zatím jsme tedy na začátku závodu, máme za sebou 45 sekund.
Well, it certainly is a quick start here for Nathalie Benoit of France. Not quite breaking away from Moran Samuel of Israel, but they do have a clear water margin over Diening and Sabino of Germany and Brazil. So we're going to catch up with our commentators following all of the racing today. We've got 2 cars out there who'll drive alongside each race. Robert Trahan-Jones and Martin Schumer in one car, and Brian Ritchie Richardson and Jan Hayek in the other. So for the first time today, let's say good morning, Brian.
And welcome to the 250-metre mark, where, as you said, the French sculler Nathalie Benoit get off to the better start, and taking with her the Moran Samuel of Israel, the 2 leaders at the moment. And as you said, Clearwater just opening up after the first 200 metres. And then it's just back to the German sculler Manuela Diening. And right beside Manuela is Claudia Cicero Sabino, just about half a length between the 2 of those scullers for 3rd and 4th. And then at the moment it is Brenda Sardon of Argentina, who is looking like the sculler that might not advance onto the final here, with 4 crews to qualify out of the 5. The heats were raced yesterday. Just 1 sculler from each of the heats advanced onto the final, so that's why we have 4 scullers here, 5 scullers here competing for 4 places. So rather cruelly, 1 sculler will not advance onto the final, but as Pete said, will compete in the B final later on this week. Nice little tussle out here, Jan, between our leading scullers. The Israeli sculler now moved into 1st place ahead of France.
Yeah, I have to admit it's quite a surprise to see the Israelian in the lead, because she said at her heat yesterday, she said 30 seconds slower time. So, but we are just at the start of at the first quarter of the race, and we will see how the race will unfold in the second quarter of the race. 600 metrů mají za sebou závodnice prvního dnešního závodu. Jak už jste mohli slyšet, jsou to paraveslařky na skifu, a za mě trochu překvapením, milým překvapením, je na prvním místě právě izraelská skifařka Moran Samuel, která v té rozjížkové jízdě měla o 30 sekund pomalejší čas než její kolegyně z Francie a zároveň i soupeřky z Německa, která je teď s výrazným odstupem na 3. místě, ale podobným stylem jela tato německá veslařka i v rozjížďce, kde spíše v druhé polovině dojížděla její soupeřky. Nicméně zatím nic nenasvědčuje tomu, že by právě ta německá skifařka Diening měla dojet vedoucí dvojici, jakož ta stále poodjíždí od této německé skifařky, která je mimo jiné i stříbrnou medailistkou z nedávného mistrovství Evropy. První 4 postupují do finále a čtvrté místo aktuálně se ztrátou 2,5 lodě na německou skifařku, na třetí skifařku drží skifařka z Brazílie Cícero Sabino. Na nepustopové pozici aktuálně argentinská skifařka Brenda Sardam.
So just coming up now to the halfway point for our leaders, and it's still the sculler from Israel leading this one out. Amoran Samuel in first place, Natalie Benoit in second, the German sculler back in third place, and the Brazilian sculler as well. They look like the 1, 2, 3 and 4. Some real quality in the field here. The Argentinian sculler was 8th in the Olympics. The Israeli sculler, who's our current leader, placed 4th at the recent Europeans. But Natalie Benoit was 4th in World Cup 2, which took place in Poznan. And then Manuela Dehling, 3rd in Lucerne in World Cup 3, as well as a 2nd in the most recent Euros. So she is a little bit off the pace here, but again, with 4 crews to qualify, maybe the scullers are just out getting a feel for the course, getting a second race under the belt, and gearing themselves up to the all-important final later on in the week. Our leaders just coming through 1,000 metres, and still just half a length separating Israel and France at the moment. 3 or 4 lengths back then to the German sculler Manuela Dehling in 3rd, and Claudia Cicero Sabino of Brazil in 4th. The Argentinian sculler, youngest sculler in the field here, Brenda Sardon, looks, as we said earlier on, to be the unlucky person who won't advance on to the A final here, along with the 2 qualifiers from the race yesterday. Ideal conditions here, the wind has dropped, no rain today, which is a novelty for us given the rain and weather we had earlier on in the week. And nice to see some people out on their bicycles, cycling down with the races here, giving some support and encouragement to the rowers. And I can also see one of the coaches rather ambitiously on rollerblades as well. So rather than him than me, but at least the conditions here on the side is ideal to follow the races down. So Jan, just coming up with 7:50 to go, and we're watching the French sculler Natalie Benoit now pull back the lead of Manuel, the Israeli sculler who had led for the last 500. So it's Natalie Benoit now moving into the lead centre of the course.
Yeah, French sculler is giving it a push, and Israeli has to react to this push, but they are going neck and neck. Almost nothing right now separating those 2 scullers. Nic se nemění na průběhu závodu stále. No, francouzská skifařka aktuálně lehce si do toho šlápla a dostává se na úroveň izraelské skifařky, která ovšem výtečně stále drží zatím tu první pozici, ale bude mít co dělat v té poslední čtvrtině závodu, aby Francouzsku uhájila za sebou. Teď se zdá, že Francouzska se dostala před izraelskou skifařku. Ale ještě neodepisujeme německou skifařku. Jak jsem říkal, v rozjížďce měla velmi solidní tu druhou polovinu a uvidíme, jestli dokáže sjet tu délku 3 lodí právě na izraelskou Moran Samuel. Obecně sice paraveslování v České republice není až na mezinárodní úrovni, nicméně zde Racice jsou poměrně významně spojeni na mezinárodní scéně s paraveslováním, jelikož v roce 1993 zde proběhl vůbec první takový testovací závod paraveslařů a mimo jiné je to letos 20 let od konání vůbec prvního oficiálního závodu paraveslařů na mistrovství světa. Takže tyto dvě významné výročí jsou spojeny právě s naším veslařským kanálem. And we are slowly approaching the last quarter of the race, Richie.
Just down to the last 500 there, and a very solid third quarter for Natalie Benoit of France to move into the lead. Just opening up clear water now against our earlier leader Moore and Samuel of Israel, but going well also in third place and coming back at our two leaders is Manuela Diening from Germany, coming back up to make it a lot more competitive into the last 500. That's one of the beauties of these smaller boats. In a couple of strokes we can see the lead take over, not just in the power rowing but any of the small boats. We saw it yesterday, Mary Jones in particular of the USA racing in the single scull, third place coming through 1,000, then moved up into second and motored on through to take the win in the single scull yesterday. So we're seeing a lot more competitive down to the last 500 here. The French sculler taking the lead at 1,500 metres, at 1,200 metres, into 1,500 and powering on from there. Natalie Benoit looking secure, centre of the course here in lane number 3. Moore and Samuel of Israel, our early leader, holding on to second, but a nice little push here now from Manuela Diening of Germany, coming up at about 250 to go in the distinctive Empacher boat. And Pete, it might look like the Manuela is coming up to just put a charge onto the finish here and challenge for second place.
Yeah, it could be an interesting turnaround there if Diening can close that margin down on the Israeli Moran Samuel, who's been an established name in this category for some time. But Natalie Benoit looking so comfortable out in front. I mean, we've spoken about the different styles of stabbing and sweeping when it comes to PR1 sculling, and she's certainly found a routine and technique that works for her, because she's just ticking it over nicely. No real need to build up for a sprint finish here, because it's the first 4 that go through to the A final. And looking to be the one in the danger zone is Brenda Zardon for Argentina. On the near side, he'll progress to the B final.
Hned 4 závodnice postoupí do finále téhleté kategorie. Je moc ale dobře, že se vlastně žádná skifařka nešetří a vidíme velké souboje především o 2. a 3. pozici. Francouzská Natalie Benoit, ta jede výborně a jede zatím s přehledem na 1. pozici. O 2. a 3. místo bojují Izraelka a Němka s rozdílem nějakých 4 metry, které je dělí od sebe, a myslím si, že si nic nedají zadarmo. Mezitím, co se Francouzska dostává na 1. pozici, tak souboj o 2. místo dál pokračuje.
Natalie Benoit for France, she lifts it up a little bit towards the end and she'll comfortably win this repechage for the PR1 women's single sculls. This push from Diening has closed Samuel's lead in second to less than a metre. It's going to be interesting to see over the line who actually pips it. I think it was Samuel by a matter of a centimetre or 2. Nonetheless, those 3 will progress through to the A final, where they're likely to be joined by Claudia Cicero Sabino of Brazil, who's coming to the last 50 or so metres.
Nakonec tedy francouzská reprezentantka suverénně na 1. pozici o 9 vteřin před dvojicí, kterou naopak dělilo jen 26 setin. Izraelka Moran Samuel na 2. a Němka Manuela Diening na 3. místě. My si počkáme na dojezd všech jednotlivých závodnic. Tady máme 10minutové intervaly a pak budeme pokračovat další jízdou paraveslování.
Well, crossing the line here, this is Claudia Cicero Sabino for Brazil. That concludes the places that will progress through to the A final. And we'll see Brenda Zardon for Argentina just coming to the last 50 metres here of her race. And she'll progress, and we'll see her again in the B final.
Argentinka Brenda Zardon, která tedy dojíždí na 5. místě, ta se účastní finále B. První 4 závodnice postupují do velkého finále. Teď už ale na velkoplošné obrazovce jste mohli vidět také další startovní listinu, protože se dostáváme ke skifařům paraveslování, k 1. a 2. opravě.
So that was the repechage for the PR1 women's single sculls. We've now got the first of 2 repechages for the PR1 men's single sculls. Andrew Mangan for the USA in lane 1. Igamberdiev Kolmorod for Uzbekistan in 2, Arkadiusz Skorzbinski for Poland in lane 3, Mori Takuya for Japan in 4, Alejandro Magnovera for Argentina in 5, and Fatnassi Maher for Tunisia in lane 6.
Sledujeme takzvanou kategorii 1, takže opravdu velké omezení. Závodníci téměř zpravidla využívají ruce a zádové svaly. V tuto chvíli už po první 500 Uzbekistánec na 1. místě. Japonec jede ale výborně se ztrátou pouhé 1 vteřiny a 79 setin.
Well, this race already well underway. Good pictures here of them passing through 500. We've got our other commentators following this race, Robert Trahan-Jones and Martin Schumer. So let's say good morning to Robert.
Morning, Pete. Morning, everybody here in Racice. Yes, welcome to the second race. It's the first repechage of the PR1 men's single sculls. You've just heard the full lineup, and leading the way, Egamberdiev Kolmyrod of Uzbekistan, the newcomer from that particular nation. And I was mightily impressed with his performance in yesterday's heats. He was the fastest of these six scullers on that occasion, and here he is mirroring that performance, moving through 750 metres out, half a length up on another newcomer making his first appearance at a World Championships, Mori Takuya of Japan. That's the 1 and 2, the fight for the third qualification slot between Poland and the USA.
Tak ano, dovolte popřát i mě dobré ráno, tady téměř z poloviny Račického kanálu. Sledujeme první opravnou jízdu skifu paraveslařů. Ve vedení aktuálně Uzbek Egamberdiev Kolmyrod, teprve 19letý veslař a drží se takhle velmi hezký náskok před Japoncem Takuyou Morim. Z tohoto závodu postupují do semifinále pouze první tři, ostatní už musí do finále C. Takže my budeme i sledovat tu třetí postupovou pozici, kdo se popere o to třetí postupovou pozici, kde právě svádí svůj souboj Polák a Američan, a vypadá, že ten souboj bude balónek na balónek, ale jsme teprve v půlce trati.
750 metres gone, and the USA sculler Andrew Mangan and the Polish sculler Arkadiusz Skrzepinski are absolutely level. Now, the Polish sculler is outrating the American by about 6 pips. I've got Skrzepinski up at 37, and it really is level pegging here. No surprise, because there was barely a whisker by virtue of their qualification times from yesterday's heats. Way out in front, Uzbekistan and Japan have been able to ease back the pressure a little. They've been able to look back at the several lengths of clear water that separate them from the two scullers vying for that vital third qualification slot and a chance to move through to the semi-final. In fifth place, Alejandro Vera of Argentina, and then sixth, trailing the field, Fatnassi Maher of Tunisia. We're coming up to the halfway mark. No, we're through the halfway mark, excuse me. And the second half really opening up, and also opening up Kolmyrod of Uzbekistan, looking to establish a clear lead over the Japanese opposition.
Ano, tak máme za sebou 1200 metrů. Uzbek Kolmyrod si drží náskok a zvětšil ho dokonce i náskok před druhým Japoncem. Souboj ale o to postupové třetí místo je stále vyrovnaný. Američan a Polák jsou těsně od sebe. Bude to asi souboj do cíle. Já bych ještě rád zmínil tady jednu zajímavost. Už jsem to říkal, že Egamberdievovi Kolmyrodovi je teprve 19 let, kdežto Argentincovi Alejandro Verovi je 58 let a je tak nejstarší účastník tohoto mistrovství světa. Je dokonce 3krát starší než právě aktuálně vedoucí Kolmyrod. Ale tak to byla jen taková zajímavost tady o rozdílu věku v této kategorii paraveslařů. Postupová místa zdají se být, že Američan se trochu dostává do vedení. Robert, what do you think? Who will be first at this race and get to the semi-final?
I think first has got to be Kolmyrod. The Uzbek sculler has been hanging on to that lead. Okay, Mori puts in a little bit of a surge and tries to close the gap, but Kolmyrod has his firmly in his sights. The real race is on for third position. Skrzepinski is still at 36. Mangan is still at 31, but holding his own. For a moment, I thought the American was going to establish a lead. Yes, he's gone for another little bit of a push. So at that lower rating, his power through the water is that little bit greater to ease ahead of Skrzepinski, who at the higher rate is not applying as much work through the stroke as the American opposition. I've got to say, though, with 4 newcomers to international competition here in the field, isn't it great to see nations bringing on new para-athletes to what is a relatively new branch of our sport? It's only been going less than 20 years. I think the first time we raced it was at the Seville World Championships in 2002. We used to call it adaptive rowing because the boats and the equipment had to be adapted to meet the needs of the athletes. But now it's a full-blown member of the Olympic movement, the first rowing Paralympics at Beijing in 2008, and the sport continues to grow, as indeed does the pedigree of the athletes at the head of the field. Mori closing fast on Kolmerod, but that's relatively immaterial inside the last 250 meters. Goodness me, look, Skrzepinski and Mangan absolutely level as they approach the red boy zone that marks the finish of the 2,000 meter course here in Racice. The USA and Poland level, Pete.
Yeah, this is great for 3 places to the AB semi-final. Skrzepinski and Mangan, nothing to separate them. As we've heard, Mangan underrating the Polish athlete there by 5 pips, perhaps, but their boat speed absolutely consistent. So we're going to have to see what they can do in the last 200 meters or so in that battle for a place in the AB semi. Not much of a change at the front of the field, though. We've still got Mori Takuya and Kolmerod leading the way.
Jede se o první 3 místa pro postup do semifinále a tady je to nejdramatičtější právě u té poslední postupové pozice, protože zatím Uzbekistánec suverénně na prvním s přehledem, Japonec na druhém místě, Američan Andrew Mangan společně s polským závodníkem Arkadiuszem Štěpáníkem. To jsou závodníci, kteří tady bojují o poslední 3. postupové místo.
Well, the ratings are rising here. Kolmerod goes up to 41 to just push ahead and make sure that he holds on to that 2-length lead nearly over Mori for Japan. That's going to be the 1-2, but this tussle for third is only heating up here. Skrzepinski goes up over 40, and we've got Mangan at 37, but they're still absolutely bowel for bowel. They'll be clinging on with their fingernails here in their last shreds of effort to get a place into the AB semi-final, which confirms them as the top 12 in the PR1 rankings. There's nothing separating them here. We're going to have to possibly go to a photo finish. They're absolutely bowel for bowel into the last couple of strokes here. I think the Americans just nudging ahead, and it is Andrew Mangan for the USA crossing the line for third, perhaps half a metre ahead of Arkadiusz Skrzepinski for Poland, who will therefore lead the way into the C final to be joined by Alejandro Magnovera of Argentina coming in for 5th, and then Fatnassi Maher of Tunisia coming in for 6th.
8 desetin nakonec rozhodlo ve prospěch Andrew Mangana, závodníka ze Spojených států, který skončil na 3. postupovém místě do semifinále světového šampionátu. Reprezentant Uzbekistánu i na 2. místě Takuya Mori jeli s přehledem na 1. a 2. pozici, ale tady to byl ten opravdu ostrý, hodně těsný souboj, který jsme mohli sledovat. A teď už můžeme vidět výsledky a teď už také startovní listinu druhé opravy.
Well, we're going to jump promptly on to the second and last of the 2 repêchages for the PR1 men's single sculls. Michael Munoz Malagon for Mexico in lane 1, Marcus Klemp for Germany in 2, René Campos Pereira for Brazil in lane 3, Lifa Hlongwa for South Africa in lane 4, and then completing the field for Hungary in lane 5, Peto Zsolt.
V paraveslování ve druhé opravě platí to samé. První 3 postupují do semifinále. Teď už se budeme dostávat k první 500. Pojďme se podívat, kdo je ve vedení. Tam se zatím daří nejvíce Brazilci, který dokázal už relativně hodně odjet svým konkurentům. Na druhém místě německý reprezentant, potom tam vidíme také Mexičana, tak pokud ale budeme vnímat právě Brazilce v dráze číslo 3, tak ten má zatím suverénní náskok.
Well, they're just about to pass through 500, and it's a storming lead already for the Brazilian, Campos Pereira. Now, Richie, we were almost surprised to find him here in this repêchage.
Yeah, big surprise. Maybe he was holding his powder off until he got into this race and wanted to clock up more mileage. So great to see him out here through 500 metres. He's got a clear water lead at the moment in lane number 3, ahead of the sculler Marcus Klemp from Germany in 2nd place. And then nearest the enclosure, Michel Munoz Malagon of Mexico. They're the 1, 2 and 3. just a little bit of open water, then back to 4th and 5th, and they here beside each other in lane number 4 and 5, with just a canvas separating the two. So they're on for a really exciting race here between the two of them, and they'll be pushing each other all the way to the line in the second repechage in the men's PR1 single sculls. But no doubt about our leader there, Jan. René Campos Pereira of Brazil, clear water already at 500 meters.
Yes, it's like the Marcus Klemp is secure at this second position right now. And also the Brazilian Miguel Munoz Malangos that's currently holding the third position. Three boat lengths ahead of the 4th and 5th sculls from South Africa and Hungary. Nepřekvapí nás, že na prvním místě druhé opravné jízdy je brazilský reprezentant René Campos Pereira, což je bronzový medailista z paralympijských her v nedávném Tokiu. Hned za ním na druhém místě je aktuálně Marcus Klemp z Německa, což je také bronzový medailista, ovšem z loňského mistrovství Evropy. Ten se také představil na paralympijských hrách, kde skončil na 8. místě. Úplně mu to tak tolik nevyšlo, ale uvidíme. Zde na mistrovství světa se tváří, že poměrně jednoduše postoupí do toho semifinále A a B. Třetí postupovou pozici stále drží mexický reprezentant Miguel Munoz Malagón a zatím se svádí poměrně vyrovnaný souboj o 4. místo, což už znamená, že je nepostupové místo mezi reprezentantem z Jihoafrické republiky Lifou Longvou a maďarským reprezentantem Zoltem Petem. The race is approaching the halfway of the race, and Richie, you have a better view of what's happening in the front.
Yeah, but the front there's no change, and I don't think anything is going to affect that in the second half of this race as well. Out there leading it, René Campos Pereira of Brazil, the in-form athlete here, the 42-year-old, coached by Cesar Augusto Moreira Silva. He's got a clear water lead over the German sculler Marcus Klemp, coached by Jochen Weber of Germany in second. Distinctive styles between the two. The Brazilian sculler much higher rate and pushing the boat along. The German sculler much more controlled. Little pause at the finish to send the boat away. So it's interesting to see the two different styles there. Coming down to the second half of the race now, we could have a contest on for the third qualifying spot. In danger of losing out is the Mexican sculler in lane number 1, Miguel Munoz Malagón. He was in touch with the early leaders in first and second, but just in the last quarter of the race, he's in danger of being picked up now by the South African and Hungarian scullers in lane 4 and 5, who are side by side, and they're pushing each other on because they're not letting each other out of sight. And the lead between those two positions has changed a number of times. And just looking back now, and it's the South African sculler who is in 4th place, but being chased by the Hungarians. So if they can continue to push on, they might come back and challenge Miguel Munoz Malagón of Mexico for their third qualifying spot. Through 7:50 to go, our leaders. It's Brazil leading it out from Germany, and the Mexican sculler in 3rd place at the moment, with just the 500-meter mark in sight there. Jan, we were talking earlier about the para-rowing in both our countries. You mentioned that a lot of the para-rowers in the Czech Republic are mainly competing in indoor ergometer events.
Yeah, there is more competing at indoor regattas, which has a much higher entries than our Czech Championship, where it's mostly only 1 or 2 boats competing in the para-rowing. But there are 2 clubs ready for para-rowers, but we still, as I said, we still can't find that international level athlete in Czech Republic. Poslední čtvrtina závodu dělí vedoucí duo Brazilce a německého veslaře Marcuse Klempa. Za začátku to vypadalo jako závod, který se poměrně bude vyvíjet v jednoznačné trajektorii o první 3 místa. Nicméně začínají se přibližovat 4. a 5. závodník, je to právě reprezentant Jihoafrické republiky a Maďarska, a aktuálně dělí je pouze délka 2 lodí na 3. pozici jedoucím mexickým skifařem. Nic se nemění na čele, tam si můžeme povšimnout poměrně rozdílné techniky, kde brazilský skifař jede vysoké agresivní tempo v začátku. Naopak Německý veslař posílá tu loď přes konec, ale chce si tak zastaví předtím, než si jede pro další tempo a dává mu to tak možnost v těch posledních metrech například využít, zkrátit tu pauzu a zaútočit tak na brazilského skifaře, což se možná i teď děje a začíná se mu přibližovat. Možná budeme svědky zajímavého dojezdu, ale zajímavý dojezd bude i v tom souboji třetího místa, kde vypadá, že mexický skifař se aktuálně upevňuje svoji pozici. I guess the Mexican is right now quite with a comfortable lead in a third position.
Yeah, we're coming up with just over 250 metres to go. No doubt about our leaders here. Renas Campos Piero of Brazil looks in control. Marcus Kemp, nice last 500 from him to really come up and try into the lead, eat into the lead of the Brazilian. They're the 1 and 2. Some way back then to the Mexican sculler for the third qualifying spot. Just as I say that, he gets his blade caught. So Pete, when it comes down to it, I don't know if the Mexican sculler can hold on here because South Africa and Hungary in lanes 4 and 5, there's a real charge on for the final qualifying spot here.
Yeah, there certainly is, and we don't often see Jolt Petto lingering at the back of the field when it comes to the early rounds or in repêchages, so he may have an extra gear to go to, but he's under pressure here alongside Lifa Hlongwa for South Africa. So this little tussle is certainly closing in that margin on Munoz Malagon, who's in the danger zone.
První dva závodníci, kteří jistě postoupí do semifinálové jízdy světového šampionátu. Máme tady Reného Campose Pereiru z Brazílie, který stále odráží útoky Němce Markuse Klempa, který jede výborně posledních zhruba 800 metrů. Poté se vrátíme k souboji o poslední třetí postupové místo, teď už ale do cílové rovinky.
Well, it's a tight one at the front of the field here. Campos Pereira under so much pressure. There's less than a metre separating them into the last 20. And Campos Pereira might just get rode through. It's going to be on the surge of the stroke. I actually couldn't split that. I think Marcus Klemp may have just pipped him to the line by a matter of millimetres. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Moving on now from repêchages, we're into the first block of 4 quarterfinals for the men's single sculls, to be followed after by 3 more blocks of quarterfinals for the lightweight men's singles, the lightweight men's double, and then the men's double. Lining up then in this first quarterfinal for the men's single sculls, Mindaugas Griškonis for Lithuania in lane 1, Trevor Jones for Canada in 2, Oliver Zeidler for Germany in lane 3, Melvin Tvelar for the Netherlands in 4, Petavari Molnar Bendigouge for Hungary in lane 5, and Scott Bearlocker for Switzerland in lane 6.
Pro tuto chvíli se loučíme s paraveslováním a dostáváme se k prvnímu čtvrtfinále skifu mužů téhleté hodně těsné soutěže a souboji. Dostáváme se také na první 500. Zatím Oliver Zeidler, jeden z velkých favoritů na prvním místě, dokázal už se odpoutat o 2 vteřiny a 7 desetin od druhého Nizozemce.
Well, we're just watching a recap of the race here, so let's hear the story of it so far from Robert.
Well, this is a real battle of the giants here. Olli Zeidler of Germany in lane 3, the world champion. Melvin Tvelar, the Dutch sculler in lane 4, who sculled Zeidler to a standstill in that thrilling finish at the European Championships at Munich just a few short weeks ago. Both these leading scullers went off at 50 strokes a minute. Zeidler kept his rate high, and after 750 metres, he's leading Tvelar by a length.
Ano, sledujeme ve vedení Olivera Zeidlera. Za ním se drží Holanďan Melvin Tvelar. Oliver Zeidler je aktuální držitel mistrovského titulu, obhajuje mistrovský titul z roku 2019, kdežto například Melvin Tvelar je zas držitel titulu mistra Evropy z letošní sezóny, kde Oliver Zeidler byl na 4. místě. Jinak třetí je aktuálně Maďar Bendegues Petavari Molnar. Postupují odsud do semifinále pouze 3 lodě. Kanaďan si to určitě nebude chtít nechat ujít. Včera byl druhý ve své rozjížďce, takže rozhodně bude chtít dnes postoupit.
The second half opens up, and here comes Tvela. Zeidler has been at 39 for the last 300 metres. Tvela at 37, but suddenly the power is coming back on, and he's got half a length overlap on the stern end of Zeidler's boat, and this is exactly what he did in the finishing stages of the European final in Munich. Can Zeidler hang on? There were some doubts whether it might have damaged him psychologically, not necessarily physically, having been sculled down in that way. But these two battles are just moving on ahead of the field, and the real struggle is for third position, because we've got Trevor Jones of Canada pretty much level with Petevari Molnar Bendegush of Hungary. Those two scullers racing for the third place in the semi-final. Trailing the field, Scott Berlocker of Switzerland is fifth, and the veteran Mindaugas Griskonis of Lithuania out of the running. He's just paddling home in sixth position.
Oh yes, now we are watching a really nice race, or maybe I could say two races. Like one race is who will win this heat, and second race is who will get to the semi-final. Takže my teďka sledujeme dva závody oddělené, kdo vyhraje toto čtvrtfinále a kdo taky postoupí do semifinále. Aktuálně to vypadá na Kanaďana, protože Maďar malinko odpadl a Kanaďan se posouvá na třetí pozici. My výjíždíme do poslední pětistovky a Holanďan se dostává do popředí. Robert, Melvin Twer are getting better.
Tvela has just jumped up the rate to 38 and has eased his way past Zeidler. Oh, this is a fantastic performance by the Dutchman, Olympic silver medalist in the double last year in Tokyo, and he has reversed his fortunes. He refused to be bowed by the fact that Zeidler had taken that early lead of a length and a half after the first 300 metres or so. We're approaching the red boy zone, and the confidence is building in Tvela as he cruises home ahead of Zeidler, and Trevor Jones pulls through in third position.
I love your phrasing there, Robert. Eased his way past Ollie Zeidler. I can't imagine anything more difficult or hard than trying to pass Ollie Zeidler in a single scull, but Melvin Tvela has done it and is now leading for the Netherlands here, up at 36. Zeidler's eased off down to 29, and we can see Trevor Jones continuing to build his margin of safety over Petevari Molnar to solidify a place into the AB semi-final. So it's looking good for Tvela, Zeidler and Jones.
Melvin Tvelara si teď hledá také kamera, protože je to závodník, který pravděpodobně zvítězí v tomto čtvrtfinálovém souboji a postoupí do semifinále z prvního místa. Velmi dobře to má rozjeté také Oliver Zeidler z Německa a na třetím místě se teď osamostatnil Trevor Jones z Kanady.
Well, it's an immense performance from Melvin Tvela. He's eased off now into the last few strokes down to 27. Zeidler at 24. These guys know that they're going through to the AB semi-final, so they don't need to gas themselves out now in this quarter. And that's Tvela across the line, 2.5 lengths ahead of Zeidler, who's got nearly 2 lengths on Jones. That's the 1-2-3 going to the AB semi-final. Coming in for fourth place then, we have Petevari Molnar Bendegush of Hungary, just under a length. As he crosses the line, it's just under a length ahead of Scott Berlocker for Switzerland in fifth place. And then coming in for sixth, we have Mindaugas Griskonis for Lithuania. We'll see them again in the CD semi.
Jak Melvin Tvelar z Nizozemska, tak také druhý Oliver Zeidler z Německa už hodně vypustili to závěrečné tempo, kde měli frekvenci okolo 25 záběrů na poslední stovce. Ještě do toho zasáhl Trevor Jones, který tedy z Kanady postupuje ze třetího místa.
Next up then, the second of the four quarters for the men's single sculls. Philip Mate Pfeiffer for Slovenia in lane 1. Mohamed Taib of Tunisia in 2. Graham Thomas for Great Britain in 3. Stefanos Tuskos for Greece in 4. Jack Gav Cleary for Australia in 5. And Eskil Borg for Sweden in lane 6.
A jsme ve druhém čtvrtfinále skifu mužů a dostáváme se po startovní reakci už k první části. To znamená, za několik okamžiků už najedeme na kvótu 500 metrů, tak abychom viděli, jaký ze závodníků je na tom nejlépe. Zatím je to velmi vyrovnaný souboj mezi dráhami číslo 3 a 4, tedy závodníky z Velké Británie a Řecka.
Well, they're coming towards 500 meters in, and it looks, Richie, like the center lanes are starting to run away with it.
3 and 4 is where all the action is right now, coming through 500, as you said there, Pete. The Greek sculler, our current Olympic champion, second in the recent Europeans. He's leading it out, but staying with him, and Graham Thomas of Great Britain in second place at the moment, just about half a length off of our leader. Back to third, it is the Australian sculler, Jack Cleary, at the moment in third. Just has an overlap with Graham Thomas, so definitely staying in touch. They're the 1, 2 and 3, with again 3 crews to qualify here, looking to move on to the semi-final, along with the Netherlands, Germany and Canada from our earlier race. Jan, it's opening up at the front, but that qualifying spot in third, it looks like the Tunisian, Australian and the Swedish sculler right beside us here are all in contention.
As you say, Richie, there is almost nothing separating the Australian and the Tunisian single sculler Mohamed Taib. But what I want to also focus right now on is the difference of the blades that are using those scullers. We can see in the front the Greek sculler is using the Fat 2 blades, which seems like is really suited for this sculler because those blades should improve the performance of throwers that has a huge, large catch angle and a slow slip. We know that the Stefanos Nkouskos is former lightweight rower, so it seems like it helps him having the good connection in the front of his stroke. Then we can see also the Australian with a new blades with comps, and the rest of the field with a smoothie blades. And seems like the comp is supposed to combine the effects of the Fat 2 blades and the smoothies in one blade. Jsme za polovinou trati a podle předpokladů, tak jak bychom to měli vidět ve všech čtvrtfinálech, by měly být vepředu dráhy číslo 2 a 3. Zde můžeme sledovat právě nejlépe nasazené z rozjížděk a v této jízdě se potkal právě olympijský vítěz, řecký skifař Stefanos Nkouskos, což tehdy bylo lehce překvapením, jelikož je to bílavalý skifař lehkých vah a jemu se teda povedlo dostat se na ty open kategorii, na tu kategorii bez omezení váhy a je tedy rovnocenným soupeřem těchto veslařů. Těsně vedle něj je teď britský skifař Geraint Thomas a nic se nemění právě na těch předních 2 pozicích. Bude to ovšem souboj i o nasazení do dráhy. Ale velice těsný souboj, sledujeme o to 3. postupové místo do semifinále AB. Zatím je na tom místě australský skifař a těsně za ním tuniský skifař. Very close battle for that third qualifying spot, Richie.
Unbelievable at the moment. The Australian Jack Cleary, who's our colleagues Camilla's pick for a medal, in third place at the moment, but under pressure from Mohamed Taib of Tunisia at the moment, and it's going to be an exciting 500 metres to finish out this race. But just to point out our leaders as well, Graham Jones, what a fantastic 500 metres from Graham Jones of Great Britain. He's now pulled through Stefanos Nkouskos of Greece and taken the lead by about half a length. So just in the last 500 metres, as we were watching the race on for the third qualifying spot, Graham Jones having a really, really great second half of the race here to move into the lead. They're the 1 and 2. Jack Cleary, as we mentioned, Australia, coming under pressure now from Mohamed Taib in lane number 2 for the third qualifying spot. And nearest to us, Eskil Borg of Sweden as well is got an overlap now with the Tunisian sculler. So it's all going to come down to the last 300 metres in the run into the finish to see who's going to join Netherlands, Germany and Canada advancing into the semi-finals. No doubt about our leader, Graham Thomas. Really, really great 500 from him. Just changing gear and pulling through the Greek sculler. So Graham Thomas, great season for him. 5th at the Euros, of course, and looking like he has moved on from that and advanced. So he's leading this one out. Second place, the Greek sculler. They're the 1 and 2. The real battle here, Pete, is going to be for that third qualifying spot. Tunisia, Australia and Sweden if they have a sprint finish.
Yeah, there's nothing separating Gav Cleary here. Gav to his mates alongside Mohamed Taib Webb. They're absolutely neck and neck, although here comes the sprint. Gav's gone up to 42, Mohammed at 38, and that is making the difference. There's nearly a canvas separating them as they come into the last 200 meters here. Nothing's going to touch Graham Thomas and Stefanos Tuskos at the front of the field, but the battle is so hard for that third place into the AB semi-final. Gavin, who's transitioned from being a dancer back in Western Australia, now an elite athlete rowing, and he's a bronze medalist from the Olympics. Looks like he's showing his caliber here on the water as he moves up to an almost safe third place.
Jack Clear se teď dostává za australské barvy na třetí místo, tam to bylo právě hodně napínavé, teď už jdeme ale do finiše, opakujeme, že první 3 závodníci postupují do semifinále.
Graham Thomas is going to take the win in this second quarter-final for the men's single sculls. 3/4 of a length up on Tuskos, and then the battle. Here comes the Slovenian. A little bit too late there for Pfeiffer. I think Jack Cleary just manages to hold on to third place across the line. An impressive sprint finish all around there. And then also a big push over on the far side from Eskil Borg of Sweden. So the ones going through, Graham Thomas, Stefanos Tuskos and Jack Cleary.
Potvrzeno v tom smyslu, že Australan Jack Cleary je také postupujícím. Filip Matěj Pfeiffer, počkáme si tedy na potvrzení jednotlivých výsledků a výkonů, protože jsme v akci viděli také úřadujícího olympijského šampiona Štefana Sousose z Řecka, ten jel v dráze číslo 4, tak tedy taková byla jízda opravy číslo 2. Dostáváme se ale k další části.
Next up then, the third of the 4 quarterfinals for the men's single sculls. Brian Kolsch for Ireland in lane 1, Bastian Secker for Denmark in 2, Christian Vasilev for Bulgaria in lane 3, Jordan Parry for New Zealand in 4, Piotr Plominski for Poland in 5, and for Italy in lane 6, Matteo Sartori.
Čtvrtfinále pokračuje třetími jízdami a my se dostáváme nejenom ke startu, ale také už k prvním stovkám metrů, protože Piotr Plominski z Polska projel jako první 500-metrovou hranicí a má náskok 1 vteřiny a 39 setin nad Bastianem Secherem z Dánska. Další závodníci jsou ale velmi těsně vedle nimi. To znamená, že opět těsný souboj, možná až od následující tisícovky. Uvidíme větší rozdíly. I tady tedy platí první, druhé a třetí místo, které pokračuje až do semifinále mistrovství světa.
Well, already coming towards 700 meters in, it looks like a good start and a good progress here from Plominski, Robert, but the rest of the field, not much separating them.
No, indeed. I had Jordan Parry of New Zealand as the potential winner of this third quarter final. But as you rightly point out, Piotr Plominski, the Polish sculler in lane 5, took an absolute flyer off the start. It gave him 2/3 of a length over the field. This Polish sculler who's back in the single for the first time since he took the silver in the under-23s last year. He's been in and out of the Polish double and the quad through the World Cup series, but definitely one to watch. And here comes Parry using the second quarter to good effect to ease into second place behind the Polish sculler. But we've got a tense battle on for third, which is currently being won by Bastian Secher of Denmark in lane 2.
Aktuálně tuto třetí rozjížďku vede Polák Piotr Plominski, ale těsně za ním se začíná dotahovat Novozélanďan Jordan Parry. Možná už je trochu teďka před ním. I podle papírových výsledků z nedělních rozjížděk jsme předpokládali, že Jordan Parry by měl vyhrát tuto rozjížďku. Tak ještě zmíníme, že Piotr Plominski z Polska loni na mistrovství světa do 23 let v tomto areále v Račicích se umístil na 2. místě, takže by podle mě určitě chtěl navázat, zazpomínat na to, i druhým místem, ne myslím v tomto závodě, ale v celkovém umístění na tomto mistrovství světa. A Zélanďan se ale dostává do... Robert, I think that New Zealand are getting to the first place.
Jordan Parry, yes, you're right, Martin, easing his way into first place. But look at the struggle going on over on the grandstand side there. Ireland and Denmark going pretty much neck and neck. Brian Colch for Ireland out of the bronze medalist in the under-23 double on Lake Varese, earned his ticket here to come to the seniors, now representing University of Galway, and he put in a spurt to take on the lead over the much more experienced Secker of Denmark, but the Dane has responded and has come back just narrowly into third, and that little tussle has brought them almost level with Plominski, the early leader from Poland, who appears to be running out of steam, and this sort of nip and tuck is bringing the leading quartet well clear of Matteo Sartori, the Italian in lane 6, who is level for 5th with Christian Vasilev. Now that's a bit of a turn up for the books. The Bulgarian silver medalist in Lucerne, bronze at the Europeans, but way out of the running, and in fact he has stopped sculling. He's just tapping it home because he knows he has been well beaten on this occasion. 1500 metres, Jordan Parry leading the way.
Tak a máme 500 metrů do cíle. Jordan Parry se trochu utrhl a zdá se, že si dojede pro vítězství, ale asi všechny diváky bude právě zajímat souboj o 2. a 3. místo, jelikož do semifinále postupují pouze 3 lodě a aktuálně jsou na možném postupu 4 lodě. Je to veslař z Irska na první dráze, z Dánska v druhé dráze a ve třetí dráze Polák. Stále vyrovnaní a nám zbývá 300 metrů. Tyto 3 lodě jsou vyrovnaní. Zdá se, že možná teďka trochu Ir začíná odpadávat.
Plominski must have heard me talking. He's right back in this race. All 4 leading scullers at 38 and 39. The white heat of competition here inside the closing stages. Is Kolsch going to be dropped for Ireland because Zecker has pulled on so strongly? No, it's now Plominski who's fading a little. All yours, Pete.
Yeah, this is going to be a really tight one, Robert. There's nothing separating these 3 just behind Jordan Parry. It's amazing when you see Kiwis put in single sculls. They always perform so well. He's got a clear length lead up on Secker, but Secker under so much pressure because Plominski and Kolsch still level.
Novozélanďan a Dána zatím na prvním a druhém místě, je to velmi těsné, ale opět mezi Irem a také polským závodníkem, výborným Polákem, který bojuje o svoji šanci účasti semifinále. Opět 3 postupují, tohle to je ale jeden z nejtěsnějších závodů, který jsme v průběhu mistrovství světa mohli sledovat.
It's a massive push from Plominski, under 42 strokes a minute. He mows past Kolsch to solidify that 3rd place. Crossing the line though, Jordan Parry takes the win, just over a length up on Secker, who has half a length on Plominski. That's the 1, 2, 3 going through to the AB semi-final. Brian Kolsch for Ireland just missing out, then will lead the way into the CD semi-final to be joined by Matteo Sartori for Italy, coming in for 5th place, and then in the centre lane, coming in for 6th, Christian Vasilev.
Brian Koš z Irska nakonec na 4. místě, ten rozdíl byl ale opravdu velmi malý, postupují tedy první 3. Jordan Parry z Nového Zélandu, Bastian Secher, což je finalista letošního mistrovství Evropy, a také Piotr Plominski, který na mistrovství Evropy skončil na 7. místě, tehdy ale ještě na dvojskifu.
We move straight into the 4th and last of the quarterfinals for the men's singles. Jordi Jofre-Senquiales for Spain in lane 1, Arakawa Ryuta for Japan in 2, Kjetil Borch for Norway in 3, Benjamin Davison for the USA in lane 4, Han Wei for China in 5, and Mbudzeni Masuta for South Africa in lane 6.
A teď už se dostáváme tedy k další jízdě a opět informace, které nás dostanou k prvnímu mezičasu. Na kvótě 500 metrů norský reprezentant Kjetil Borch je zatím aktuálně na první pozici s minimálním náskokem před Japoncem a Španělem.
Well, look at this. They're coming up through 400 meters already. Arakawa Ryuta challenging the well-known Kjetil Borch for the lead. What do you make of that, Richie?
Yeah, Kjetil Borch got off to the better start, but the Japanese sculler in lane number 2 just putting on a huge push coming up to 500 metres to draw level with Borch of Norway. They're the 1 and 2, just a canvas back then to USA in 3rd place, and the Spanish sculler 4th, and South Africa 5th at the moment ahead of the Chinese sculler. The Chinese sculler also competing in the lightweight men's single, so doubling up here to race in 2 different events. He's going to be a busy guy because he came through his rep and is advancing on in that category as well. But all eyes on the front here to see who's going to advance on to the semi-final. 3 crews to qualify out of this 4th quarter-final. And the USA sculler, Benjamin Davison, rowing nicely now as well in lane number 4. He's coming up to get back in touch with the early leaders, Borsch and Arakawa of Japan. They're the 1, 2 and 3. Less than a length separating back then to the crews that are in 4th, 5th and 6th, with very little separating Spain. The Chinese sculler now just moving into 4th, and the South African sculler nearest to us in lane number 6. 7:50 gone, Jan. It looks like we're in for a very exciting finish. The Japanese sculler now leading it out in lane 2.
Yeah, we could have seen different racing strategies from those very early read by the Kjetil Borch. Now is caught up by the Japanese and the USA single sculler. So we'll see how this race will unfold in the second half. 700 metrů, 1200 metrů, pardon, zhruba do cíle tohoto posledního čtvrtfinále, kde jasnými favority jsou japonský skifař Ryota Arakawa, Kjetil Borch z Norska a Benjamin Davison, kteří jsou teď velmi vyrovnaní a podjíždí právě těm ostatním skifařům. Aktuálně na 4. pozici čínský skifař Wei Hen. A mohli jsme sledovat poměrně rozdílné strategie, se kterými přišli tito skifaři do tohoto čtvrtfinále. Kjetil Borch vystartoval velmi rychlým startem, udělal si tak náskok jedné lodi, ale poměrně brzy ho dohnal japonský skifař Ryota Arakawa, který se teď v tuto chvíli dostává na první pozici a zdá se, že stále nestrácí oproti mnohem zkušenějším skifařům, právě Kjetilem Borchem a Benjamin Davidsonem. Vyrovnaná tato trojice stále na špici tohoto závodu a dostává se tak k metě 750 metrů do cíle. Around 800 meters to go, and it seems like Davidson is right now challenging the Kjetil Borch for the 2nd position.
Yeah, the action is all up the front here in our 4th quarter final in the men's single sculls. We saw that exciting finish in the previous race where it came down to the line. No doubt about our 3 leaders here at the moment, but the lead has changed a number of times between the scullers. We saw that Borch of Norway, a silver medalist from the Olympics, 7th at the most recent regatta, the Europeans. He took out the early lead out to 500, but after 700 meters, it was Arakawa of Japan who moved into the lead. Since then, he's been challenged by Benjamin Davison. These 3 scullers in lanes 2, 3 and 4 pushing each other on, and it's Davison now of the USA moving into 2nd place. Having a really great race, as well as the Chinese sculler I mentioned earlier, lightweight men's single scull, as well as competing in the men's single scull here. So he's having a very busy week. He came 5th in his heat in the lightweight singles, then went on to win his repechage, and he's rowing really well here in 4th place, and is pushing on to try get back in touch with our leaders. And as I say, they're coming through 500. It looks like Benjamin Davison is now moving into the lead in USA in lane number 4. As I say that, he's glancing over and looking at the other scullers. Arakawa of Japan, he responds again and lifts it up. It's the Japanese sculler now who's taken back the lead from Benjamin Davison in 1st place. And Borch of Norway responding. He's moving into 1st as well. Stroke for stroke, they're matching each other here. Jan, who's your money on to take the win in these 3?
I guess that right now the Kjetil Borch is moving to the 1st position. Vidíme, že žádný skifař se nechce spokojit pouze s postupem a všichni bojí o ty lepší pozice, které nasadí do lepších pozic do semifinále. A Kjetil Borch teď se pomalinku dostává na první pozici, ale japonský skifař reaguje. What a fierce battle between the Japanese and the Norway Kjetil Borch.
Absolutely. Looks like Davison of the USA is taking his foot off the gas a little bit, more than enough in control here. Borch leading it out. Great race from the Japanese sculler, Pete. Previous races in the pairs, he swapped over to the single. Think he made that right decision.
Yeah, he looks so good in this quarter-final. An amazing performance from him, having led through each of the splits through the 500,000 and 1,500, only now being moved through by Borch, who's raised it to 41 for this push to the line. But all of these 3 leading scullers, Borch, Arakawa, Davison, looking good for the AB semi.
Zdá se, že o postupujících máme jasno. Tady si to ještě závodníci rozdávali o 1., 2. a také 3. místo. Na 3. místě zůstane Benjamin Davison. Teď tedy ještě Kjetil Borch z Norska a Japonec Ryota Arakawa, kteří tady bojovali, ale už se nám to pěkně odděluje. 3 poznáme. 3 nejrychlejší, kteří půjdou do semifinále mistrovství světa.
Here comes the push, though, from Han Wei of China, trying to close in on Davison. I think he's going to run out of water, but an amazing performance from Chetelborg, taking the win, half a length up on Arakawa for Japan in second, who's then got a length on Davison of the USA for third. They go through to the AB semi-final. Han Wei for China leads the way into the CD semi-final, to be joined then by Mbudzeni Masuta for South Africa, crossing the line here in fifth, ahead of Jordi Jofre Senquiales of Spain in sixth.
Han Wei nepostoupí do hlavního semifinálového boje, je to tedy potvrzeno. Chetelborg z Norska na prvním, Ryuki Arakawa na druhém se ztrátou necelé 1 vteřiny a Benjamin Davison ze Spojených států, ten už si v poslední 250 zkušeně pohlídal 3. postupové místo.
Just before we move on to the next race, where we're going to get into the 4 quarterfinals for the lightweight men's single sculls, a quick parish announcement for you. There are 2 cars with Polish license plates parked by the cemetery, which is just behind the enclosures area behind the finish tower. So if you could get a message to any of the Polish attendees, athletes, spectators, coaches, support staff, just to make sure that those 2 cars are moved, please. There are 2 cars with Polish registrations, Polish license plates parked by the cemetery behind the finish tower area. If they could be moved, please. Thank you. Right, back to the racing then. The first of the 4 quarterfinals for the lightweight men's single sculls. Alexis Vladimir Lopez Garcia for Mexico in lane 1. Oscar Söderdahl for Norway in 2. Andriy Struzina for Switzerland in lane 3. Hamish Harding for Australia in 4. Finn Volter for Germany in 5. And completing the field for Tunisia in lane 6, Gaith Kadri.
Skiv mužů zůstává, jdeme ale k lehkým vahám a jednotlivým čtvrtfinálovým jízdám, které budou také 4. To znamená první závodníky, které už máme na trati. I tady platí první a třetí, respektive první až třetí závodník. Nejrychlejší postupuje do semifinále po první 500. Andriy Struzina ze Švýcarska na prvním místě. Hamish Harding ve 4. dráze na 2. pozici. Opět je tedy vidět, že ti, kteří zvládli nejrychleji rozjížďky, se také v tomto čtvrtfinálovém boji drží zatím nejvýše.
Well, they're coming to 700 metres in, so let's catch up with Robert and Martin.
And at this stage in the race, the pacemaker is Andriy Struzina of Switzerland, the fastest of these 6 scullers in Sunday's heat, an athlete who's spent most of the 2022 season in the lightweight double scull, but here he is in the single and leading his way home, half a length up on the Australian Hamish Harding of Australia, with Finn Volter of Germany in the 3rd qualifying position at the moment. On the grandstand side, Mexico and Norway level for 4th.
Na prvním místě se nám drží Švýcar Andriy Struzina, na druhém místě Australan Hamish Harding a na třetí, poslední postupové pozici je Němec Finn Volter. Závod se nám trošku rozdělil tady do více skupin. Ta první skupina je Švýcar, Australan, Němec a vzadu na druhé straně, na straně tribun, jedou v dráze číslo 1 Mexičan a v dráze číslo 2 Nor Oskar Seidl. Uvidíme, jestli ještě budou mít šanci dotáhnout se na Němce. Andriy Struzina potvrzuje roli svého favorita. Včera měl v neděli měl druhý nejrychlejší čas v rozjížďkách, zároveň letos 3. na mistrovství Evropy. Ale teď už se dostáváme do druhé polovině trati. Robert, now we are getting to the second part of the race.
Indeed, and Struzina has jumped up the rate to 37. He did that just before the halfway mark. He anticipates a tussle for 2nd and 3rd behind him. He wants to put a comfort zone between himself and the rest of the field, and indeed he's got a little margin of clear water astern of his boat ahead of the Australian Harding, who is coming under pressure from Germany and Mexico. Lopez on the grandstand side for Mexico. I'm expecting him to be in the race for a semi-final place. This athlete only just missed out on a medal at the last World Championships 3 years ago in Austria, so we know he's a class performance. He seems to have seen off the Norwegian Oscar Söderdahl, who's trailing by clear water by about a length and a half at the stern end. Finn Volter, the German, in lane 5. He was a world champion last year in the under-23 quad, so he's making his first appearance alongside the seniors and vying for that third qualifying position. Strutzina leading the way home for Switzerland.
Ano, tak vypadá to, že nakonec bude velmi zajímavé, jelikož Mexičan López, který se na posledním mistrovství světa v roce 2019 umístil na neoblíbené 4. pozici, se tady bude chtít rozhodně dostat do semifinále, protože se dotahuje na Němce. Už máme téměř 500 metrů do cíle a Mexičan právě se přetahuje přes Němce a možná se dostane i přes Australana. Zvýšil velmi frekvence jeho vysoká a jde doopravdy potom dravě. Švýcar si zatím drží náskok jedné lodi, ale ještě uvidíme, co udělá Mexičan v první dráze. Robert, what do you think about Mexican guy López?
He is pushing on a magnificent push. Volter, the German, has glanced over to his right, and what he sees is López pushing him in at 40 strokes a minute and easing his way past the German for third, and that is putting additional pressure on Harding, the Australian, who's been in second for so long. Oh, what a great race we've got developing here, 300 metres from home in this first quarter final of the lightweight men's singles. Strutzina did what was necessary to give himself a comfort zone, but even he is coming under pressure from López. The Mexican is really going for it on the grandstand side, Pete.
Yeah, some amazing speed from López Garcia of Mexico, closing in on Strutzina. Hamish Harding starting to come back now, going up to 37 and pulling level again with López. So it's all to play for here. The only one slightly out of the action is Finn Volter. What's he got for this last 200?
Nikdo ze závodníků nemá ještě nic jisté, protože se jede o 3 postupová místa. Teď už se Mexičan dostává na úroveň právě švýcarského bronzového medailisty z mistrovství Evropy. Dokonce se dostává před něj Švýcar na 2. místě a souboj o 3. a 4. pozici.
Well, it's all changing again. Finn Volter now moving up. López Garcia and Harding move through Strutzina. Strutzina at risk of being moved through by Volter as well. So we'll have to see what happens in this last 50. An amazing push from López Garcia and Harding. They're absolutely level coming to the last 20 meters. They're going to be tough to split across the line. I think it was Hamish Harding a centimetre or 2 ahead of López Garcia, and then Strutzina taking third. So those 3 all progress to the AB semi-final. It was López Garcia across the line first, then Hamish Harding, then Andrew Strutzina. So they go through to the AB semi-final. 4th place, Finn Volter, ahead of 5th place, Oscar Söderdahl for Norway, and 6th place, Gaith Kadri for Tunisia. They'll go to the CD semi.
21-letý Němec Finn Volter se hodně dlouho držel na postupu, nakonec skončil na 4. místě, Mexičan na 1., Hamish Harding z Austrálie na 2. a Andrej Stružina na 3. místě. To jsou ti závodníci, kteří postupují do hlavních semifinálových bojů a je to nejlepší pozvánka na čtvrtfinále lehkých vah číslo 2.
Next up, the second of the 4 quarterfinals for the lightweight men's singles. Baptiste Savaete for France in lane 1. Konrad Hulch for Austria in 2. Antonios Papakonstantinou for Greece in lane 3. Rajko Hrvat for Slovenia in 4. Lukas Savitsky for Poland in 5. And Furuta Naoki for Japan in lane 6.
6 závodníků, pouze 3 můžou uspět v téhleté jízdě, tedy čtvrtfinále číslo 2. Meta 200, 300 a za malou chvíli už také 500 metrů. Opět tedy sledujeme jednotlivé dráhy, tak abychom si porovnali největší favority po první čtvrtině téhleté jízdy.
Well, I tell you what, Richie, that was an exciting first quarter final for the lightweight men's singles, and this one shaping up to be another close one.
Yeah, they set the benchmark there in the first race, and this second quarter final is looking like it's going to be as competitive as well, with 3 crews to qualify onto the semi-final. It never ceases to amaze me how quick these boats are going off the start and the high rates that they have. All the crews were pretty level going through 100 metres, but now that they're into their rhythm and finding their feet within the race, it is the Greek sculler in lane number 3 leading it out, ahead now of the sculler from Poland. He was originally the leader just off 100 metres, but it's Poland in second place now, and as I say that, the Slovenian sculler Harvat is just contradicting me because he has now moved into second place. They're the 1, 2, and 3. Greece, Slovenia, Poland 1, 2, and 3. But there's an overlap. So the other scullers from France and Austria on the enclosure side in lanes number 1 and 2, they're also the youngest competitors in the quarterfinal here, just 21 years of age, getting some great experience here against the more experienced scullers. And at the moment, the only sculler in danger of not staying in touch is Furuta of Japan in lane number 6. Interestingly, Jan, we see the commentary team, we've turned into a bunch of, instead of train spotters, we're boat spotters, because we've been looking at the manufacturers of all the boats that have been here, and we have 5 MPACers in the leading 5 crews in this quarterfinal.
Yeah, we used to be seeing a lot of Philippines in lightweightman categories, but here in the second quarter of lightweightman single scull, we see, as you said, 5 MPACers. Už vyjíždí do druhé poloviny, druhého čtvrtfinále lehkých mužů, jak jsme viděli už i v předešlé rozjížďce. Bylo to velmi, velmi těsný dojezd a můžeme očekávat i podobný dojezd i právě v této jízdě, jakož o to 3. postupové místo, o to právě usilují 3 skifaři. V dráze číslo 1 Baptiste Savate, který ví, co to je vyhrát bronzovou medaili zde v Račicích. Představil se zde právě v loňském roce, kde se mu povedlo právě získat bronzovou medaili na tom loňském mistrovství do 23 let. A teď o podobné usiluje ve seniorské kategorie. Můžeme si všimnout poměrně rozdílného stylu prvních 2 jedoucích skifařů. Řecký skifař má to tempo v začátku dlouhé a chycené, silné přes nohy, když to oproti tomu slovinský skifař Rajko Hrvat má své typické vysoce frekvenční tempo ulítaného předu, ale jemu to sedí. Zdá se, že jemu to sedí. 3. místo. Tuhý souboj mezi polským skifařem Lukášem Stavickým a francouzským Baptistem Savetem. Ale do těchto bojů může promluvit ještě rakouský skifař. Still 3 single scullers from France, Austria and Poland can be at that 3rd position.
Yeah, absolutely. The French sculler Baptiste Savette in lane number 1, the young 21-year-old, has some experience in the under-23s as well, where he came 3rd in Varese in the double scull, opting to race in the single here and getting some great experience. He is being pushed on by the Austrian sculler Hulch as well. They're 4th and 5th at the moment, and they're pushing the Polish sculler Sawicki all the way to get that 3rd qualifying spot. No doubt about our leader. Since the 300-metre mark, it has been the Greek sculler Papakonstantinou. A really nice long rowing technique here, very contrasting style to the 2nd place sculler Slovenia Hrvat. Much more clipped rowing, higher rate, shorter sculling, but it's interesting to watch the 2 of them in lanes number 3 and 4 side by side. Very different styles and techniques, as we mentioned as well. So as we look out now, the French sculler putting on a fantastic push here to move into 3rd place. The Polish sculler Zawicki looking like he's under pressure. The head has dropped down a little bit here, and the French sculler now pushing on, and as come up to about 250 metres to go, all to play for the 3rd qualifying spot. Great to see over 20 bikes here from coaches and supporters on the bank cheering the crews on and giving them encouragement. There must be a lot of French over there because it's working for Baptiste Savette in France in lane number 1. He's now moved into 3rd place, and Pete, he's looking good to get that 3rd qualifying spot.
Yeah, it's going to be close, this one. I mean, we haven't seen a real solid push yet from the Austrian Konrad Hulch. I think we might see something in the closing stages. He's going up to 40 strokes a minute now that he's entered the red buoy, so it's all to play for in that 3rd place into the AB semi-final. Papakonstantinou still out in front, 2nd place still held by Hrvat, but still all to play for. Savate and Savitsky challenging for that AB semi-final spot.
Řecký závodník, který je letošním mistrem Evropy a zároveň také loňským mistrem v kategorii do 23 let, Antonius Papakonstantinou, je v tuto chvíli na 1. pozici. My ale hledáme 1., 2. a 3. místo ve čtvrtfinále světového šampionátu, tak nakonec to vypadá také na jasné 3. místo. Není to tak dramatické, jak se zdálo na 15 stovce. Řek si jede ale suverénně pro 1. místo.
Well, here we go. Last couple of strokes, and it's a win for Antonius Papakonstantinou for Greece, just over a length over Rajko Hrvat of Slovenia, who then has a length on Baptiste Savate for France. Those 3 go through to the AB semi-final. 4th place is then Konrad Hulch for Austria. Just over a length on Lukas Savitsky for Poland for 5th, and Furuta Naoki for Japan in 6th. They'll go to the CD semi.
Před posledním mezičasem opravdu velký souboj o 3., 4., ale byl tam také 5. v pořadí. Teď už se díváme do tváře vítězného řeckého favorita, který dokázal ujet všem svým soupeřům, stejně jako Rajko Hrbatovi ze Slovinska, který bere 2. místo. Baptiste Sevate z Francie je pak na 3., ale co je nejdůležitějším, postupovém místě se ztrátou 4 sekund a 28 setin.
Time now for the third of the 4 quarterfinals for the lightweight men's singles. Kasper Hervelampi for Finland in lane 1, Ahmed Rapi for Sweden in 2, Amir Hossein Mahmoudpour for Iran in lane 3, Bruno Cetraro-Beriolo for Uruguay in lane 4, Dale Flockhart for Great Britain in 5, and Mohamed Al-Kafaji for Iraq in lane 6.
Urugvajský reprezentant Bruno Cetraro-Beriolo je zatím na první pozici, náskok 3 metrů před reprezentanty Švédska a také Iránu. To jsou závodníci v dráhách číslo 2 a 3. Taková je aktuální situace po 1 minutě a 45 vteřinách.
Just past 500, not much to separate them here. It looks like the Uruguayan out in front though, Robert.
Yeah, Cetraro-Beriolo, the most experienced of these 6 lightweight single scullers, took part in the Olympic final in the double scull last year in Tokyo, but spent this season in the single, bronze medalist at Lucerne, and here he is heading the field after some 600 metres into this third quarter final. He went off, believe it or not, at an unbelievable 54 strokes a minute. And against that sort of pace, the other 5 looked positively pedestrian. It gave him the early lead, but he's now being hunted down by Mahmoudpour of Iran and Ahmed Rapi of Sweden in second and third.
Tak a my sledujeme další zajímavý závod, tak jak to už bývá zvykem u lehkovážných veslařů. Nejlépe si vede favorizovaný Iránčan, favorizovaný Uruguayec Bruno Cetraro-Beriolo, letos 3. na světovém poháru v Lucernu, loni 6. na olympijských hrách, sice na dvojskifu, ale i tak 6. Ve finále se umístil. Na 2. místě jinak se aktuálně drží Švéd a za ním se bojuje o 3. místo a souboj tam svádí veslař z Velké Británie a z Iránu. Už se blížíme skoro na metu 1 kilometru, přihoupujeme se do druhé polovině trati a zdá se, že Iráčan, Uruguayec, začíná trochu ztrácet a ostatní se začínají dotahovat. Robert, what do you think? I think that Cetraro is getting a little bit slower.
Well, we're at the halfway mark, Martin. Yes, you're right. The lead that the Uruguayan set himself has gradually been eaten away. Ahmed Rapi of Sweden has come on so strongly in lane 2 and is vying with the Uruguayan for the lead. We've also seen a good second quarter from Dale Flockhart, the Edinburgh University student in lane 5, representing Great Britain. Flockhart, who won the B final in the Europeans in the double scull, partnering Jamie Copas, but the GB selectors decided not to continue that project. So here's Flockhart on his own in the single at the World Championships and currently in the 3rd qualifying position as the Uruguayan sculler Cetraro-Beriolo hangs on to the lead despite Rapi's best intent. So the 1, 2, 3 currently Uruguay, Sweden, Great Britain.
Tak ano, zdá se, že u Uruguayec Cetraro-Beriolo si drží vedení, ale těsně za ním je Švéd Ahmed Rapi. Ale i tak, pojďme se věnovat tomuto závodu, jelikož to závodě nejde až tak o to vítězství, ale jde o to, kdo postoupí, respektive kteří 3 veslaři postoupí do semifinále. A zdá se, že to může být všech 5 z veslařů, které aktuálně sledujeme. Nejdále k postupu má Iránčan Ahmed Mahmoudpour, ale na postupu se drží samozřejmě teda Brit, Uruguayec a v druhé dráze Švéd. Robert, what do you think? We have like a last 500 meters. What do you think? Who will get to the semifinal? Which 3 scores?
Positions unchanged, Martin, right now. It's still Uruguay leading Sweden and Great Britain. But the Iranian sculler, Mahmoudpour, is trying to get back into this race. I'm a little disappointed by his performance so far in this quarter-final. He was only 1 second off the time set by Uruguay in Sunday's heats. But the Iranian is less race-savvy. He doesn't have the experience at international level of the rest of the field. And he's trailing, as is Al-Khafaji for Iraq. They're half a length down on the lead that is being set by the leading trio. Still, Citraro Beriolo pushing it out at 36 strokes a minute. We're beginning to see the leaders wind up for a sprint finish here because they know that Al-Khafaji in particular could come back on that lead. Khafaji, who contested the heavyweight single last year in the Tokyo Olympics, but we're inside the last 250. This is where the fireworks begin. Rappi beginning to build it up for Sweden. Uruguay continuing to lead, but here comes Flockhart trying to surge past Pete.
Yeah, a great sprint coming in from Flockhart, going up to 38. The response from Cetraro Beriolo is exactly what you'd expect from somebody at this level. He's gone up over 40 to respond, and that's seeing the margins remain unchanged as we come into the last 100 or so meters.
Na postupu tedy 24-letý Urugvajec, letos 3., 7. a 7. ve světových pohárech, na druhém místě aktuálně Brit a to je konkrétně 7. muž mistrovství Evropy a dokončíme ještě 3. postupujícího ze Švédska, to je známé jméno, které si také jede pro postup z téhleté čtvrtfinálové jízdy.
Last big push from Dale Flockhart sees him just nearly draw level with Cetraro Beriolo, but the Uruguayan holds on to the win there, perhaps half a metre ahead of Dale Flockhart for second, and then third place we had Ahmet Rappi for Sweden. They go through to the AB semi-final, and then we'll see the remaining scullers progress through to the CD semi.
Do semifinálových jízd tedy postupují 3 nejrychlejší. Bruno Cetraro Beriolo, to byl velký favorit téhleté jízdy. Závodník, který dokázal tedy být na 3. místě v závodě světového poháru v letošním roce a bude chtít bojovat také v semifinále světového šampionátu. Na 2. místě Brit, jako 3. pak Ahmet Rapp, závodník, který reprezentuje Švédsko.
Time now for the fourth and last of the quarterfinals for the lightweight men's single sculls. Oscar Pettersson for Denmark in lane 1, Sid Ali Budina for Algeria in 2, Gabriel Suarez for Italy in lane 3, Lazar Penev for Bulgaria in 4, Hugh Moore for Ireland in 5, and James McCullough for the USA in lane 6.
Alžířanec Sid Ali Boudina zatím na první pozici. Opět se díváme na situaci po několika stovkách metrů. Na 2. a 3. místě potom máme italského a bulharského závodníka v drahách číslo 3 a 4 a pěkně už nám naskočili na metu 500 metrů i s výraznějším náskokem.
Just past the 500, and I'm enjoying these lightweight men's singles races, Richie. I mean, they're always so competitive.
Really competitive, and even in the quarters here there's very little between the crews from 1st to 6th. As we come through 600 meters, there's just 2 lengths separating 1st to 6th, so it just shows how competitive these lightweight singles races are, and gives us some of our most exciting finishes of the morning so far as well. After a blinder restart, it was actually the Bulgarian sculler. I don't think I've ever seen a scull take 2 or 3 strokes and move out to half a length lead, so a great start from the Bulgarian sculler, but he's been reined in by the other competitors in this 4th quarter-final of the lightweight men's singles since then. We've gone through the 750 metre mark, and it is in lane 2 Boudina of Algeria who's actually leading this one out half a length ahead of Suarez of Italy in 2nd place. And of course Suarez was the silver medalist at the most recent regatta, the European Championships. So they're the 1 and 2, but only half a length back then to Bulgaria in 3rd place at the moment. Penev, they're the 1, 2 and 3. And really, the stroke for stroke right beside us here, Jan, the scullers from Ireland and USA, Hugh Moore from Ireland, James McCulloch from the USA, side by side. And as I say that, the Danish sculler just comes up as well. So for fourth place, there's just a canvas separating lanes 1, 5 and 6.
Oh yeah, Boudinez from Algeria makes the rowing so easy. It's looking so easy. It's definitely not easy for him, but look of his style, how long his stroke is, and with a great finish of the stroke. Za polovinou je opět velmi vyrovnané čtvrtfinále, kde s trochu překvapením pro mě je na prvním místě aktuálně alžírský skifař Seyd Ali Boudina, ale teď si do toho opřel opět stříbrný medailista z mistrovství Evropy, italský skifař Gabriel Soares a Boudina tak musí odrážet jeho útok. Na třetím místě teď sedí Lazar Panev, bronzový medailista z loňského mistrovství světa do 23 let zde v Račicích, a ten se musí koukat nejen doleva na irského skifaře a skifaře ze Spojených států amerických, ale i doprava na dánského skifaře Oskara Petersen. Toto jsou 3 skifaři, kteří budou nejspíše atakovat Lazara Peneva o tu postupovou příčku. Lazar Penev takže neví, musí dávat si pozor, z jaké strany na něj může přijít útok, protože pouze jedna loď, délka jedné lodi odděluje tohoto skifaře od dalších 3. So the Lazar Panev has to look on his right and left side because there are 3 more scullers quite close to Lazar. They're fighting for that third qualifying spot.
Yeah, there's a real dogfight on here in lanes 5 and 6. Hugh Moore of Ireland and James McCulloch of the USA side by side here, pushing each other on, and doing so, they're coming back in touch with Penev of Bulgaria, who's currently in that third qualifying spot. The lead just changing as well. Out in front, the Italian sculler Gabriel Soares, our European silver medalist, looks like he's just pushing on now and coming up level with Boudina. So it's interesting to see who's going to take the win there. And here beside us we can see again McCulloch and Moore in lanes 5 and 6 pushing each other all the time, stroke for stroke, and they're doing their best to get back in touch with a Bulgarian sculler, but just going through 1500, there's no doubt about it now. Soares now has changed gear and moved into the lead, but as I say that, the Algerian sculler now responding, as you said, Jan, really nice technique from the Algerian sculler, looks so natural and effortless from him. And the third place sculler Penev, he's had enough of the challenges from 4th and 5th, and he's now changed gear, and if anything is coming back to get an overlap with the leaders in 1st and 2nd place. Hugh Moore of Ireland just moving out now ahead of the USA sculler into 4th place, but I think he's going to run out of water and won't be able to come up to challenge Penev for that qualifying spot. Down to 250 to go. Pete Soares, the informed sculler, doing well here. Great to see Algeria and the Bulgarian sculler really challenging the silver medalist from the Europeans.
Yeah, these two at the front, though, stroke for stroke, both at 36. Soares and Boudina. It's been a very measured race from Gabriel Soares, coming back from 2nd through the 500 and the 1,000 and just gradually easing his way up into the lead. Nearly a canvas up on the Algerian Boudina at this stage. 3rd place looks pretty comfortable for Penev. I can't see anybody contesting this into this last 150.
Vítěz světového poháru v Lucernu a také stříbrný z mistrovství Evropy Gabriel Soares Itálie se dokázal dostat aktuálně na první pozici. Vidíme ho a sledujeme ho v dráze číslo 3. Na druhém místě Seyd Ali Boudina, to je mladý Alžíranec, který byl 3krát v desítce ve světovém poháru. Tihleti 2 určitě postoupí a pro postup si jede také Lazar Penev z Bulharska. 1., 2. a 3. místo zdá se být jasnou záležitostí.
Gabriel Soares for Italy's going to take the win here, not by much though. It's a canvas, less than a canvas in it ahead of Seyd Ali Boudina. And then 3rd place for Lazar Penev of Bulgaria, despite a great final push from Hugh Moore of Ireland, closing that lead down, not quite enough to row through. So Hugh Moore for Ireland will lead the way into the CD semi and be joined there by James McCulloch of the USA, crossing the line for 5th, and 6th place, Oskar Petersen.
Reprezentanti Itálie a Alžírska, tam to bylo naprosto jasné, nakonec i Bulhar Lazar Penev, který letos skončil 6. na mistrovství Evropy a 4. na světovém poháru v Poznani, dokázal vybojovat postupové 3. místo.
We've got a short intermission now until we get underway with the next block of quarterfinals for the lightweight men's double and then the men's double. Next race due off at 11:04. So while we have a quick breather, I just want to remind everybody that there is the opportunity to vote in the Athlete Commission's election that's underway, of course, through this championship. All athletes and spares who are here and have an accreditation are invited to go and cast their ballot in person at the tent next to the New Wave World Rowing merchandise tent next to the boat park. There's an area that you can cast your ballot. 20 nominees for the Athletes Commission to select and have elected 10 places on the Athletes Commission. So make sure you get down there. You can read up all you need to about those nominated, their stories and their motivational letters on the World Rowing website. So pop along to the website, read all you need to about the nominees, and then head down to the election booth and cast your ballot. Morning, folks. Hope you're having a great day here at the World Rowing Championships. I've certainly enjoyed racing so far. We're in the middle of a big block of 4 boat categories going through their quarterfinals. And just before we get underway with the lightweight men's doubles next, I thought me and Miro could have a quick chat on our reflections of the day so far. Any particular standouts for you, Miro?
Yeah. Sounds good right now, Pete. Because I was expecting a great performances from para rowing, representing of a lot of countries, and I think they did a great job. from 9:30, and quarterfinal 1, 2, 3. It's from my perspective a big fight because there are a lot of very good performances and athletes, and I think everything was good because, for example, in scull in this category, a lot of great athletes will go to the semi-final.
Yeah, it's been some tight racing, particularly in those lightweights. And speaking of which, we already can see that the lightweight doubles are getting themselves lined up on the start. So we're going to jump straight into the introduction of the first quarterfinal for the lightweight men's double sculls. Lining up here then in lane 1 for Turkey, Enes Gok and Sefik Kakmak. Lane 2 for Poland, Jerzy Kowalski and Artur Mikolajczewski. Lane 3 for the Czech Republic, Jiří Simonek and Miroslav Vrashtil. Italy in lane 4, Pietro Ruta and Stefano Oppo. Stanislav Kovalov and Igor Khmara for Ukraine in 5. And for China in lane 6, Sun Man and Chan Wei Chun.
Poland, Czech Republic, Italy, Ukraine, China. Attention.
There's the buzzer. I do love hearing the starting umpire's roll call through the crews. Makes the hairs go up on the back of my neck every time. You can feel that tension ready to burst out of the blocks. Riding here with the Czech Republic boat on the big screen. A great start for Simonek and Vrashtil.
Po krátké pauze se dostáváme už ke čtvrtfinálovému souboji lehkých váh, konkrétně dvojskiv, a my sledujeme také v dráze číslo 3 české reprezentanty. Jiří Šimánek a Miroslav Vrashtil, to jsou olympionici, kteří budou bojovat o první, druhé a nebo třetí postupové semifinálové místo.
Well, they're kind of towards 200 meters down already. We've got Robert Jones and Martin Schumer following this one. Robert, this Czech boat, Simonek and Vrashtil, probably the best medal hopes for the Czech Republic at this championships.
Yeah, Pete, that's precisely what we were talking about just before this race got underway. This Czech double, so unlucky to miss out on a medal last year on the Sea Forest Waterway, where they finished in 4th position. But they've had a great season, a finalist at the Europeans just a few weeks ago, but they're up against a class act in the lane immediately to their left. Ruta and Oppo, the bronze medalists who beat the Czechs to the line in Tokyo last year, right up there alongside them. So that's the 1 and 2, followed by Poland and in lane 6, China.
Tak a máme za sebou prvních 500 metrů tohoto čtvrtfinále a Češi. Krásně se na to dívá. Češi jsou ve vedení, sice jenom o kousek před Itali. Jsou to favoriti tohoto závodu Češi, Italové a i Ukrajinci, kteří ale akorát se drží na 4. pozici. Češi měli 3. nejrychlejší čas v rozjížďkách ze všech dvojskifů. Italové zvítězili ve své rozjížďce, Češi byli druzí. A taky jsou zajímavé souboje mezi Čechy a Itali. Loni na olympijských hrách Italové byli 3., Češi 4. Letos na mistrovství Evropy Italové druzí, Češi 5. až za nimi. Ale teď se podívejme. Jsme na mistrovství světa a Češi vedou toto čtvrtfinále. Už se dostávají dopředu a předně vedou o 2 metry, takže všichni na tribunách, připravte se, za 250 metrů budeme na tribuně, budeme na kilometr a to už je slyšet z tribun. Připravte si své hlasivky, za chvíli začneme fandit.
Well, this is a class act from the Czech double. They're at 38 and they are holding off the Italians who are at 40 by half a length. And just look at the Chinese. I am mightily impressed by Sun and Chen, the only one of these six crews who had to come through to this quarter-final via the repechage. A new combination with no international experience as a double together, but they are holding their own despite all those disadvantages. Poland in lane 2, level with Ukraine for 4th position. We're at the halfway mark. Well, it's been said so many times before, close finish is such a hallmark of lightweight doubles, and that's why I, for one, am going to be so disappointed to see this boat class disappear after the Paralympics, but after the Olympics in Paris in 2 years' time. But just look, Simonek and Vrastil now opening up a further advantage.
Tak ano, už jsme za kilometrem a Češi svůj náskok stále zvyšují. Už je to náskok jedné lodi před Italii. Nádherný, velmi výborný závod. Po tribunách pomalu začněte fandit pro Čechy. Zbývá 750 metrů do cíle. Jinak pojďme se podívat i na zbytek startovního pole. Češi tady první, Italové, loď za nimi a bude tu hezký souboj o 3. místo mezi Čínou a Poláky. Postupují jako v předchozích čtvrtfinálích, v ostatních disciplínách postupují 3 lodě do semifinále A, B. Ale opět sledujme Čechy, sledujme a fanděme na tribuně. Pojďte všichni fandit. Máme 700 metrů do cíle.
Simonek and Vrastil still moving through at 38, and they've got clear water on the rest of the field. A dominant position by the Czech double, but just look at the fight for places behind them. Kowalski and Mikolashevsky are now challenging Italy for 2nd position. Ruta and Oppo trying to respond to that push from the Poles. The Chinese still hanging on grimly, but the pain is beginning to tell. Their move is not as smooth and synchronous as it once was. They are hanging on so desperately as Kovalov and Kamara try and move through. 500 meters remaining. We have got 5 crews in contention for those 3 semi-final places, but Simonek and Vrastil absolutely dominant.
Tak a máme 400 metrů do cíle a jak teďka říkal Robert, Míra Vrastil a Jirka Šimánek absolutně dominují tomuto závodu. Samozřejmě jsem to dříve doufal, že by mohli vyhrát, ale nečekal jsem takovouhle dominanci. To je doopravdy skvělý závod. Za nimi se strhuje souboj o druhé postupovou pozici mezi Itálii a Poláky. Ale teď, co jste na tribunách, pojďte fandit, protože kluci teď výjíždí do 250 metrů, tak to pojďte roztočit na tribuně.
Oh, the fight for the line building, and here comes Ukraine. Italy at 40, Poland at 40, Ukraine at 42. Suddenly the Chinese find new energy. Oh, the chase for the line is going to be fantastic, but only one crew leading the way, the Czech Republic.
Yeah, it's great to see the Czech Republic on their home water here, dominating this quarter-final, but there's nothing to split the remaining crews. It could go absolutely any way into this last 100.
Čeští reprezentanti, kteří skončili letos 5. na mistrovství Evropy, v tuto chvíli jedou opravdu suverénně pro semifinálovou účast na světovém domácím šampionátu. Sledujeme ale také Poláky anebo Italy. Tohle to je ještě souboj o 2. a 3. místo. Češi si jedou ale pro první pozici.
The Czech Republic are going to take the win in this first quarter-final, but I can't split the remaining crews. It's absolutely bow-ball for bow-ball across the line. I call it Ukraine, Italy, then Poland. That's how I saw it across the line. We're definitely going to have to wait for the official results to split that. Absolutely nail-biting stuff. The Czech Republic won that in 6:20.32. The results just trickling in now. 2nd place was Ukraine. And then 3rd place goes to Italy. That's the 1, 2, 3. Czech Republic, Ukraine, Italy go to the AB semi-final. 4th place, Poland. 5th place was on the far side, the China boat, and then 6th place Turkey. We'll see them in the CD semi.
3. na světovém poháru v Bělehradě, 5. na mistrovství Evropy, těsně 4. na olympijských hrách. Taková je bilance posledních závodů Jiřího Šimánka a Miroslava Vraštila, kteří to zvládli naprosto skvěle. Teď už také můžeme vidět jejich náskok v prvním čtvrtfinálovém souboji. Postupují také Ukrajinci a Italové.
Well, I've barely caught my breath after that nail-biting finish to the first quarterfinal of the lightweight men's doubles. It's time now for the second quarterfinal. Leboan Mokseng and Murray Bale-Smith for South Africa in lane 1. Portugal in 2, that's Afono and Dinis Duarte Costa. Norway in lane 3, Lars Benske and Askiel Thurm. Paul Leerkamp and Arno Gauss for Germany in lane 4. Andy Koppel and Elar Loth for Estonia in 5. And Tamas Benche and Galambos Peter for Hungary in lane 6.
Na trati už je druhé čtvrtfinále, opět první 3 posádky postupují do semifinále mistrovství světa. Estonci zatím na první pozici, teď už ale Portugalci, kteří se dostali do vedení. Je to hodně těsné, Estonci tedy na druhém a zatím Jihoafričané na 3. místě. Ty můžeme sledovat v dráze číslo 1.
Well, it's tense stuff, this lightweight racing, Richie. But what's going on here? The Norwegians out the back.
Yeah, unusual to see the Norwegians in 6th place here in the second quarter-final of the lightweight men's doubles. It was the Estonian double that got off to the best start. Koppel and Loth in lane number 5. They had a flyer out of the start both and got away to a 1 or 2 length lead. But they've been reining in a little bit. It's the Portuguese crew who are putting the challenge up to them at the front at the moment. The Portuguese Duarte Costa double in now moving in to take the lead and rowing really well centre of the course in their distinctive Empacher boat. It's the German double, young guys here, just 20 years of age. At the Paul Leerkamp in the bow seat, a lot of experience in the 2021 under-23s, making the step up now to senior level, and those guys are flying along in lane number 4 centre of the course. Challenging now is the Norwegian crew, so I think they've woken up off that quiet start that they have, and they've moved back now into 4th place ahead of the crews from Hungary in 5th and the South African pair nearest the enclosure in 6th place at the moment. So 4 boats overlapping here centre of the course in lanes 2, 3, 4 and 5 with 3 crews to qualify. At the moment it's Estonia and Portugal doing all the running, but how about that German double centre of the course, Jan?
Yeah, the German double has been at the 2nd position, now are challenged by the Norway that has really slow start and now moving up the field almost at the Portuguese double scull. That is right now challenged by the German and Norway. Sledujeme teda další čtvrtfinále, druhé, a my jsme zvědaví, které 3 posádky se zapojí o boje o medaile k našim borcům Jirkovi Šimánkovi a Mírovi Vraščilovi, kteří už mají to semifinále jisté a budou tak sledovat další souboje. Ale to zajímá i nás, fanoušky, abychom věděli, s jakými posádkami se naši reprezentanti utkají o ty boje o medaile. Na prvním místě protla polovinu trati posádka z Portugalska, která byla 4. na mistrovství Evropy. Tato posádka předjela naše chlapce právě na tom mistrovství Evropy, kde skončili 5. ve finále A, ale stejně jako v předešlém závodě vidíme velmi, velmi vyrovnaný souboj a fanoušci se máte na co těšit v tom dojezdu, kde 4 posádky teď bojují o ty 3 postupová místa. Estonci, Němci, Norové a Portugalci. 4 crews, again, really close battle for those 3 positions progressing to the semi-final.
Absolutely. We saw quarter 1 brought all the drama. Quarter 2 is just about to bring us the same type of race coming down with 750 metres to go. Estonia, our early leaders, are now in 4th place, and the Portuguese crew are holding on to the lead that they took in the last 500, but having a great middle of the race period. It is the Norwegian crew now coming up to take 2nd place. The Germans, that young German double, just 20 years of age, and they are holding their own here in this race, coming up with 500 metres to go. 3 crews to qualify, 4 crews in contention. The Hungarian and South African crews, clear water between them and the leading pack. 500 to go. It's the Norwegians putting on a charge here to come up and challenge the Portuguese crew. The Estonians coming back now on the German crew right beside them. 500 to go, Jan. Really exciting finish in prospect.
Norové, který na začátku ztráceli až loď a půl na Portugalce, jsou teď těsně vedle nich a sledujeme tak další velmi vyrovnaný souboj do cíle tohoto čtvrtfinále. Estonci, kteří měli velmi rychlý start, zdá se, že jsou to velmi silní veslaři a jsme tedy zvědaví, kolik síly si nechali na těch posledních 250 metrů. Jsou teď vyrovnaní s německou posádkou a nás tedy bude zajímat, která posádka bude ta první, druhá a třetí v postupu do semifinále.
Robert has said it here. We're going to lose out on so many exciting races when these lightweight races wind up. Pete, coming into view now, there is a canvas and a half separating first and fourth, and it's up to anyone to get that third qualifying spot. Norway, Portugal looking good. It's between Estonia and Germany for the last one.
Yeah, this is amazing. They're all at 39 strokes a minute and now starting to wind it out. They're tipping into 40 now as they come into the last 200 meters. It's going to be nail-biting this final 150 or so because there's only 3 places and you just could not split Germany and Estonia.
Nesmírně vyrovnané v souboji o první, o druhé, ale hlavně o třetí a o čtvrté místo, protože 3 posádky postupují. Na prvních pozicích Portugalci, vidíme tam také Nory. Kdo to ale zvládne na třetím místě? Budou to Němci ve čtvrté anebo Estonci v páté dráze. Poslední desítky metrů, které rozhodnou o úspěchu a dalším pokračování na světovém šampionátu.
Here we go, last few strokes then, and it's Norway and Portugal almost certainly going through, but this push from Germany is just sealing that third place for them, crossing the line. Norway half a metre up on Portugal and then a length back to Germany, who managed to extend their margin in that last 100 metres to nearly 3/4 of a length over Estonia. So that means we'll see Norway, Portugal and Germany progress to the AB semi. 4th place Estonia will progress to the CD semi-final and be joined there by 5th place Hungary and 6th place South Africa.
Víc síly nakonec měli Němci v tom cílovém dojezdu, kteří porazili Estonce, ti by měli být na 4. místě o 1,4, to znamená Norové, Portugalci 1. a 2. místo a nakonec také posádka z Německa. Pokračují dál v semifinále světového šampionátu v Račicích roku 2022.
Now we have the third of the 4 quarterfinals for the lightweight men's double sculls. Redmond Matthews and Oscar McGuinness for Australia in lane 1. Lucas Reim and Julian Scherbel for Austria in 2. Hugo Bouret and Ferdinand Ludwig for France in 3. Fintan McCarthy and Paul O'Donovan of Ireland in lane 4. Gaetano Hortopombo and Manuel Belastegui for Spain in 5. And for the United States of America in lane 6, Jasper Louis and Zachary Heese.
Čtvrtfinále číslo 3, francouzská posádka, která je ve třetí dráze, jela výborně rozíšku, zároveň Francouzi skončili letos na světových pohárech na 2. a na 4. místě a zatím jsou ve vedení o 2. a 3. pozici, ale souboj mezi Iry, jsou tam také Rakušané a nebo Španělé.
Well, the French have absolutely gone for it in this first 500. Over to you, Robert.
Yes, 500 metres gone. Birdie and Ludwig lead the way for France, currently rating 39 strokes a minute, but certainly not the highest rate on the water so far because McCarthy and O'Donovan, the world, Olympic and European champions, went off at 52 and now settled, but they're still in the pack. That doesn't worry me, probably won't worry them because that's not their way of doing things. They just sit there and then when the time is right, they ease their way through and they're now beginning to nose ahead of Spain in the lane immediately to their left and the Americans, Jasper Liu and Zach Heese in 6, who are vying for 3rd position. But approaching 750, it's France leading by half a length on Ireland.
Tak jsme ve třetině třetího čtvrtfinále lehkého dvojskifu mužů a vedou v něm Francouzi před Iry. Irové měli docela pomalejší start, Francouzi naopak velmi rychlý start. Ale podle očekávání a podle papírových předpokladů se Irové dostávají do vedení. Zmiňme, že to jsou aktuálně mistři světa, mistři Evropy a olympijští vítězové. Irové to opravdu velmi talentovaný dvojskiv. V neděli vyhráli svoji rozjížďku, stejně tak jako Francouzi. A najíždíme, máme 800 metrů nebo 900 metrů za náma a Irové se přehupují dopředu. Robert, we have 550 meters and Ireland are going before France.
Yeah, McCarthy and O'Donovan, just as they've done so many times before, using the second quarter to good effect. They're rating 38, exactly the same as the French, but perfect synchrony, absolute perfection in the technique, and that is allowing them, even at the same rate, just move through back into their customary position at the head of the field. These two doubles, they won their respective heats on Sunday, but the Irish did so in a time that was some 9 seconds faster than the French. So that sort of form repeating itself here in the quarter-final. But a great performance from one of the slower qualifiers, Liu and Heath for the USA, hanging on to third, half a length up on Spain, with Austria fifth. And the Australians on the grandstand side lagging a little. They're the only one of these 6 doubles that had to make it to this quarter through the repechage. They had the extra race, that new combination from Matthews and McGuinness, and are being dropped off the stern end of the pack as McCarthy and O'Donovan continue to lead the way home.
Irové stále ve vedení, Francouzi druzí za nimi a budeme se věnovat trošku teďka chvíli souboji o 3. místo, protože to je to místo, které je nejdůležitější, kde chcete být 3., jelikož postupujete taktéž do semifinále. 4. místo bohužel postupuje do semifinále CD, což je nejlepší možný umístění 13. Tak a na tom souboji jsou Američané a Španělé. Američané jsou aktuálně o metr na tom lépe, ale Španělé zrovna dávají nástup. Uvidíme, jestli ho Američané odrazí. Zbývá 500 metrů do cíle, všechny posádky teď začnou finišovat, začnou to rozjíždět. Ještě bych ani nezázoval naděje Rakušanů na druhé straně, ale teď Španělé se dostávají před Američany. Robert, fight between Spain and USA. How do you see it?
Yes, level for third here, but here comes Spain. The Americans trying to push them off at 40 strokes a minute. The Spaniards at 39 and surely coming through, making the best of that slightly lower rate because we're approaching the last 250. No doubt about the leaders, McCarthy and O'Donovan, predictably enough, entering the last 250, almost 1 boat length clear of France, but Spain and France, there is still nothing to choose, Pete.
Yeah, this is so close. This will be the 5th photo finish of the day if it comes down to it, because you just cannot split these two. Spain go up another pip, USA another pip as well. They're both at 41. Coming to the last 150, nothing to separate them.
Olympijští vítězové Syrska si drží první pozici, Francouzi budou na druhém místě, ten největší souboj, ale z pohledu tribuny na té druhé straně mezi Španěli a Spojenými státy, protože jaká posádka bude rychlejší, ta postoupí do semifinále. V tuto chvíli tedy minimální rozdíly právě mezi 2. a 3. místem.
Spain now starting to get the better of the USA. There's perhaps a meter in it coming to the last 30 or so, but Ireland are going to take the win almost predictably, just over a length up on France. And then in a close one, it's Spain, perhaps 10-20 centimeters ahead of the USA. So the USA take 4th place, and then 5th place Austria, and 6th place Australia. So that means we'll see Ireland, France and Spain progress through to the AB semi-final, the rest to the CD.
Oproti mezičasu na posledních 500 metrech se tedy nakonec Španělé dostali na postupovou 3. pozici s minimálním náskokem 26. Irové, mistři Evropy, olympijští vítězové, patřili mezi nejrychlejší nejenom papírově, ale také v reálu. Na druhém místě Francouzi ztratili 2 vteřiny a 7 desetin. V každém případě 1., 2. i 3. posádka postupuje, to je ta nejdůležitější informace.
The 4th and last quarterfinal now for the lightweight men's double sculls. Matthew Dunham and Christopher Stockley for New Zealand in lane 1. Takeda Masahiro and Miyaura Masayuki for Japan in lane 2. Rafael Alejandro Mejia Gutierrez and Ricardo Daniel de la Rosa Venegas for Mexico in 3. Jan Schäuble and Rafael Ahumada Ireland for Switzerland in lane 4. Alexander Modest and Rasmus Lind for Denmark in 5. And for Belgium in lane 6, Marlon Colpert and Niels van Zandwege.
Závěrečné čtvrtfinále číslo 4 a my jdeme k situaci, kterou můžeme sledovat přímo v jednotlivých drahách. Švýcaři jsou na první pozici, na druhém místě Belgičané, Dánové na třetím, na čtvrtém Mexičani. Za několik okamžiků uvidíme i časové rozestupy na metě 500 metrů. Zatím jsou závodníci tohoto závěrečného čtvrtfinálového souboje na trati 1 minutu a 25 sekund.
Well, they're coming up through 500 now. Switzerland out in front, but it's still such a tightly packed field. It's anyone's guess, this, Richie.
Yeah, similar to the previous races, it's all to play for in the last quarter of the lightweight men's double sculls. Through 500 metres, the young Swiss crew, just 21 and 22 years of age, they had the second fastest time behind the Irish crew out of the heats, and as expected, they're leading it out here in lane number 4, centre of the course. In second place at the moment, it's actually the crew from Belgium in lane number 6, furthest for the enclosure. They're in second place, just by about 3/4 of a length, and very little then between the remaining crews challenging for the third qualifying spot. New Zealand, the crew in lane 1, the only crew in this race who came through the repechage. Japan, they're the crew that are a little bit out of touch at the moment and not in the running, but with 7:50 to gone, could come back into it yet. Mexico, centre of the course in lane number 3, in fourth place at the moment, and it's the Danish crew pushing on as well. They do look like they're a little bit more of a laboured stroke from the Danish crew, but they are ploughing on here in lane number 5, and they're staying in touch as well. But no doubt about the leaders out there, centre of the course, this class crew from the Switzerland, Jan Schaubel and Rafael Ahmada, Ireland, coached by Ian Wright. They've had a fantastic season so far, winners of World Cup 1 in Belgrade, third at the Europeans, as well as competing in the under-23s in Varese recently as well. They're opening up a Clearwater lead. But Jan, good to see the Belgians here nearest to us in lane 6, staying in touch and pushing for second at the moment.
Yeah, seeing the Niels finding a new partner in the lightweight men double scull, seems it works quite fine for them. Now they have to fight for the second and third qualifying spot, and almost nothing is again separating 4 crews currently fighting for second and third. Poslední čtvrtfinále a opět jsme zvědaví, které 3 posádky se posunou do těch bojů do semifinálových jízd s naší posádkou. Podle předpokladů na prvním místě švýcarská posádka je Jan Schaubel a Rafael Ahmud Ireland, kteří si drží solidní náskok dvou lodí na ostatní posádky a tak nějak kontrolují ten závod pod sebou, kde se strhuje opět k závěrečné bitvě mezi 4 posádkami. Posádkami z Nového Zélandu, z Mexika, z Dánska a z Belgie. Novozélandská posádka musela jít do tohoto souboje z opravné jízdy a vstoupili do toho závodu s velmi natěšení, s velkou radostí a v první polovině byli na 2. pozici. Teď musí odrážet nástup Mexičanů, o kterých se předpokládá. Silná 2. polovina a stále i novozélandská posádka. Posádka z Belgie v dráze číslo 6 se drží teď v tom souboji o to 3. postupové místo. Seems like right now the Mexicans are sitting at the 2nd position, and we'll see how the fight for the 3rd position will unfold.
Yeah, really solid third 500 from the Mexican crew in lane number 3. Meja Gutierrez in the bow seat, De La Rosa Vangas in the stroke seat, coached by Roberto Salvadio. They've had a really good run of it here in the last 500, coming up now and moving clear into 3rd place and pushing for 2nd. The Belgians, as you mentioned, a new combo. They're rowing very well in lane number 6. They're the 1, 2 and 3. And then the New Zealand crew were in danger of losing touch with the early leaders, but they're powering on here now. The crew that came through the repechage are now moving into 4th place ahead of the Danish crew, just coming up at about 750 metres to go. No doubt about our leaders out there in lane number 4, Schaubel and Ahmada, Ireland, leading out the young Swiss crew. In 1st place here, Clearwater lead now to the Mexicans in 2nd and the Belgians in 3rd, and the New Zealand crew really pushing for that 3rd qualifying spot, coming down to the red boys to indicate the last 250. The photo finish is getting a real workout here in these lightweight races, Pete. No doubt about Switzerland, but it's going to be New Zealand, Mexico and Belgium for the second and third qualifying spots.
Yeah, those timers are earning their wage today, aren't they? And it's certainly really tight stuff here. The Kiwis getting right into this action. They've come back from fourth now. Well, they're still fourth, but they're pretty much level for third and second at the same time. So it's going to really tighten up into this last 150.
Medailisté z mistrovství Evropy ze Švýcarska jedou na první pozici, náskok zhruba 13 metrů před druhými závodníky z Belgie. Teď už vidíme ale také novozélandskou posádku, jsou tam ale také Mexičané. Tak tohle to je další souboj o druhé a třetí místo, tedy tu postupovou pozici do semifinále mistrovství světa.
The sprint is on. We're coming to the last few strokes. It's going to be Switzerland for the win. And then over on the far side, Belgium for second. And then I can't quite split them across the line. It was on the surge of the stroke. I was about to say Mexico had it, but I think the Kiwis on the surge of the stroke might have just nipped in there. So we'll wait for the official results to come through. Of course, the graphic not quite right there because Switzerland won that. Belgium was second. And then we need this photo finish to divide third and fourth. So Switzerland won that in 6:25.53. Belgium second. And we're just waiting for them to examine the photo. And then we'll know whether it was New Zealand or Mexico. It was New Zealand. And so that's New Zealand going through. And they were 900ths of a second ahead of Mexico. So Mexico will go through to the CD semi-final with Denmark and Japan.
Tak bylo to opět o záběr, to třetí postupové místo. Švýcaři a Belgičané, to bylo vidět prvním pohledem, nakonec rozhodl fotofinish a ve prospěch Nového Zélandu jen a pouhých 9 setin vteřiny na úkor Mexika. Mexičané tedy budou bojovat už nejlépe jen a pouze o 13. místo. Ostatní posádky postupují do Ačkového a Bčkového semifinále, ty nejlepší 3.
Well, that's the lightweight doubles done. Next up, we've got the four quarters for the men's double sculls. Lining up here in the first one, we've got Armin Arbach and Thomas Lehner for Austria in lane 1. Ioannis Kalendaridis and Athanagios Papalanopoulos in lane 2 for Greece. Lithuania in 3, Armandas Kelmelis and Dovydas Nemirovicius. Australia in 4, David Bartholow and Caleb Entel. Jakub Podrazil and Jan Sinsibuk for the Czech Republic in 5. And for the Ivory Coast in lane 6, Frank Ndri and Ricardo Bui.
Dostáváme se k prvnímu čtvrtfinálovému souboji dvojskyfařů a vidíme českou posádku v dráze číslo 5. Za malou chvíli také jednotlivé rozestupy mezi tím, co vedou Australané ze 4, tak Češi je tam dobře vidí. Aktuálně ztrácejí 21 metrů. Tak teď se pojďme podívat na aktuální situaci po 500. Česká dvojka ztrácí 3 vteřiny a 94 setin a je na 4. místě.
600 meters in, Australia leading the way in this first quarterfinal. Not by much, though. It's a really good start from them. And we're going to catch up with Robert. This Australian crew, built different.
Yes, Bartholow and Antil, the Lucerne silver medalists, they've gone for an early sting here and they're leading the way home ahead of Greece and Lithuania. Bit of controversy in the men's double sculls event here at the World Championships because Appel and Wolfs, the German double who qualified in theory for the quarterfinals, decided to pull out of the competition for private reasons, and that means that we see the Côte d'Ivoire double in lane 6 and 3 and Brouet, despite in theory having been eliminated in Monday's repechage, they are back in the competition but trailing against the pace that is being set by the leading Australians. Australia 1, Greece 2 and Lithuania 3 right now.
Tak a jsme u dalšího pro českého fanouška velmi očekávaného čtvrtfinále, protože zde máme dvojskyf Jakub Podrazil a Honza Cincibuch. Kluci aktuálně na nepostupové pozici, 4. pozici, ale abych vám vysvětlil, co se stalo v průběhu trati a na startu. Kluci na startu lehce zavadili do bojek a malinko vyjeli z dráhy, což je rozhodilo, ztratilo na tom právě tu ztrátu, kterou mají teď. Takže tím bych chtěl říct, že doopravdy nezoufejme. Kluci se drží velmi dobře Litevců a já jim velmi věřím, že je ještě dokáží udolat v kilometru. Budou chtít, ale vaší podporu, co jste na tribunách, jak známe, ty kluky určitě ocení podporu. Pojďte zafandit. Zbývá jim 900 metrů a kluci ztrácí 3/4 loďky na postup do semifinále a určitě jim to přejme. po loňské 13. místě na olympiádě, ať si letos polepší a dostanou se do semifinále a souboj o 12 nejlepších míst.
Well, the position's unchanged while Martin has been giving you the news in the local language. And if anything, Barcelo and Antil have increased their lead at the head of the field against the ahead of the second place Greeks. Kalandaridis and Palaiopoulos contested the European final in Munich a few weeks ago, and they have a clear water advantage ahead of Kalmelis and Nemiravicius of Lithuania. But just look at this. Martin, Podrazil and Sinsibuk trying to come back into the race here.
Yes, they are getting better on like a meter 750 meters. They get higher and push the stroke up. Takže pánové, dámy a pánové, všichni jsme teďka na 750 metrech viděli neuvěřitelný český nástup a dotáhli se na Litevce. Teď už ztrácí pouze 2 metry. Výjíždíme do poslední 500. Teď, co jste na tribunách, pojďte ale sakra zafandit. Češi to budou potřeba. Všichni chceme vidět v semifinále. Pojďte fandit, pojďte kopnout do vrtule. Čechům chybí je 2 metry, doopravdy kousíček na postup. Tak teď všichni fanděme, protože mají Litevce na dosah ruky. A když to kluci teďka zlomí, tak zlomí ty Litevce i psychicky. Pojďme zafandit, pojďme, co jste na tribunách, všichni fanděte. Teď už je tam metr na ty Litevce. Tak držme jim palce. Kuba se ohlíd a zdá se, že budou dávat nástup. A aktuálně dostávají se do vedení. Tak teď všichni, co jste na tribunách, jdeme fandit!
Czech result, Czech Republic pushing it through at 41, taking it on ahead of Lithuania at 38. Australia surely home and dry ahead of Greece, but the Czech Republic looking strong for third, Pete.
Yeah, this is an amazing start to the quarterfinals for the men's doubles. Australia absolutely dominating here, but the race is on. The local favourites against the Lithuanians for that crucial third place into the AB semis.
Čeští reprezentanti jsou opravdu velmi blízko tomu, aby postoupili do cenného semifinále mistrovství světa. 2 parťáci jako Podrazil a Jan Cincibuk jsou v tuto chvíli aktuálně na 3. místě, musí dotáhnout ale tuhletu důležitou misi mezi tím, co Australané a také Řekové sjedou pro postup. Je to velmi velký souboj mezi Litevci a právě českou dvojkou, která si ale jede pro 3. postupové místo.
Australia still out in front. Greece looking good for second. The Czech Republic solidifying that third place ahead of Lithuania, who have succumbed to that realization as we see Australia cross the line, a length and a half up on. It is a length and a half up on Greece and then a canvas back to the Czech Republic. They 3 go through to the AB semi-final. Lithuania gave it their all and they've realised that they'll be going through to the CD semi to be joined there by coming up for 5th place we have Austria, and then over on the far side the Ivory Coast for 6th. We'll see them contest the CD semi-final.
Čeští reprezentanti, 30-letý Jakub Cincibuk, 24-letý, respektive Jakub Podrazil, 24-letý Jan Cincibuk to zvládli naprosto skvěle. Tu závěrečnou 500 udolali Litevce, kteří potom už zvolnili. Je to skvělá zpráva pro české veslování, protože český dvojskiv je v semifinále mistrovství světa. Tuto jízdu, toto čtvrtfinále vyhráli Australané, na 2. místě Řekové. Česká republika, tedy Jakub Podrazil a Jan Cincibuk na postupové 3. pozici.
Moving swiftly on then, we've got the second quarterfinal for the men's double sculls now. Jakub Herhonek and Andrej Kovacevic for Slovakia in lane 1. Krzysztof Kasparek and Simon Poznik for Poland in 2. Alex Garcia Pujolar and Rodrigo Conde Romero for Spain in lane 3. Andrei Sebastian Cornet and Christian Jonut Kojokaru for Romania in lane 4. Canada in 5, Daniel de Groot and Gavin Stone. And then China in lane 6, Liu Baishun and Oh Ji Wei.
A začala už další zajímavá jízda, protože slovenský dvojskiv v dráze číslo 1 je připraven boj o postup, zatím ztrácí 16 metrů, nejlépe jsou na tom Španělé, je to jasné, dráha číslo 3, takže velcí favorité, Rumuni se také drží ve 4, za několik okamžiků už 500, která jasně prozradí nejenom rozdíly, ale zároveň také časové rozestupy. Mezi těmi nejrychlejšími 1., 2. a 3. místo postupuje do semifinále, pravidla zůstávají stejná.
500 meters in, look at this, Richie, 4 boats almost completely level going through that line.
Unbelievable. I need that photo finish camera up here to make out who are our leaders in this second quarter final of the men's double sculls. Through 500, it was the Spanish crew got off to the best start, but the other competitors right beside them have pulled them back in. It's Poland, Spain, Romania and Canada, centre of the course, lanes 2, 3, 4 and 5, pushing this one out here. Just 3 crews to qualify, so it's again another race here where there's going to be 4 crews contesting it. A little bit further back then to the crews that are in 5th and 6th place at the moment. The Chinese crew in lane number 6 are just about a half a length ahead of the Slovakian crew in lane number 1, but there is clear water between them and the leading 4 double sculls, just coming through 750, and it is the Spanish double, second in the Euros in the most recent regatta. Of course, they are now opening up just about a canvas lead over the Polish crew. Polish crew were third in their heat, so great to see them up here and contesting, coming up to 1,000 metres. They're pushing the leaders here, and the leaders are the Spanish crew, who you'd have to say would be favourites to win this and advance on to the semi-finals. Not having it their own way, though, the Canadian crew in lane number 5, Daniel de Groot and Gavin Stone, rowing very well here in 3rd place at the moment, just a canvas ahead then of the Romanian crew in 4th. They're the 1, 2, 3, 4, clear water back to 5th and 6th. So Jan just coming up to the 1,000 metres. The Spanish crew looking class here in the centre of the course in lane 3, just extending their lead.
Yeah, exactly, Richie. We have seen really close battle in lightweight men double sculls. Also the close battle we see in the men's double sculls. So it's quarterfinal and fight for the 3 qualifying spots. Druhé čtvrtfinále mužů právě protlo metu 1000 metrů a už se dostávají do té druhé poloviny závodu. Na prvním místě posádka ze Španělska, kde můžeme připomenout, že na štroku jede Rodrigo Conde Romero, což je stejně jako náš Jan Cincibuch, bývalý lehkářský závodník, a teď to také zvládá v té kategorii neomezené váhové kategorii. S nimi na druhém místě je tohle polská posádka. V tomto čtvrtfinále startují i slovenská posádka, která má ovšem velmi silné soupeře. Jak jsme říkali, posádka z Polska a Španělska teďka na 1., 2. místě a na 3. místě posádka z Kanady. Hned za nimi, kousek za nimi, posádka z Rumunska, na kterou se ovšem začíná dotahovat čínská dvojice. Seems like first three crews are just making their move, and Romania can't keep up with their pace.
Yeah, we've just seen over the last 500 the bunching up of the crews that were 1st to 4th, where there was less than a length and a half, 2 lengths separating them, has opened up now in the last 500 as we come up to 500 to go. And that Spanish crew, the silver medalists from Spain in the European Championships, they came 3rd in World Cup 1 in Belgrade and also 3rd in Lucerne in World Cup 3. So they're the informed crew here looking to take the first qualifying spot. But the Polish crew, new combo from the Polish crew here. They did race in World Cup 1 in 5th, try out different boats back in the double here, and in lane number 2 they're overlapping with the Spanish crew now, so they're the 1 and 2, very little between them, and then looking good to take that 3rd for qualifying spot. Daniel de Groot and Gavin Stone of Canada having a really good race here. Again, another crew that were racing in 8s and 4s earlier on in the season, so a new combination here for the Canadian crew coming into the double scull, but looking good to take that qualifying spot ahead of the Romanian crew. The Romanian crew were the 10th placed double scull in the Europeans, so it looks like the Canadians have the making of them here, and if anything the Canadians are coming back now on the Polish. But Pete, coming into view here again, fantastic racing in all of the double sculls races here. Quarterfinal number 2, Spain looking good, Poland challenging them, but really good row from that Canadian crew.
Yeah, this Canadian combination, de Groot and Stone, looking pretty comfortable for 3rd place. The Romanians are going to have to go for it soon if they want to close down that margin, but it will be a close one for them. The real class act here, though, Spain out in front, coming back from 2nd and now leading comfortably ahead of Poland.
Nově sestavený polský dvojsky se drží velmi dobře, teď se díváme ale také na Kanaďany, kteří jsou na 3. místě, na 1. pozici stále Španělé, kteří letos nejenom, že vybojovali 2. místo na mistrovství Evropy, ale také byli ve 2 závodech světového poháru. Na 3. pozici jedou si z 1. pozice právě pro jasný postup, sledujeme ale také Poláky, zároveň Kanaďany, tohle to jsou ty dvojice, které postoupí do semifinále světového šampionátu.
Spain crossed the line to take the win in this second quarter line final for the men's double sculls, a length ahead of Poland, who have a canvas over Canada. That's the 1, 2, 3 going through to the AB semi-final. 4th place Romania ahead of 5th place China, and then 6th place Slovakia to the CD semi.
Reprezentanti Slovenska na 3 nejrychlejší tedy nestačili. Teď už na velkoplošné obrazovce opět pohled na ty, kteří byli mezi těmi nejrychlejšími. Tohle to myslím byli ještě Rumuni. Teď už se ale dostáváme opravdu ke Španělům, kteří dokázali suverénně zvítězit.
Next up is the 3rd quarterfinal for the men's double sculls. Carlos Andriel Arjete Jarigui and Boris Luis Gerardino for Cuba in lane 1. David Mumolo and Luca Rambaldi for Italy in 2. Martin and Valent Sinkovic from Croatia in lane 3. Cyril Visocek, Sestakov and Ivan Korsunov of Moldova in lane 4. Alexander Filipovic and Alexander Bejic for Serbia in 5, and Juho-Pekka Patijaniemi and Jukka-Pekka Kauppi for Finland in lane 6.
A už také odstartovalo 3. čtvrtfinále, zatím velmi těsné souboje. Teď se to začíná natahovat. Chorvaté na prvním místě, závodníci a zástupci Moldavska na 2. pozici. Kuba a Itálie, to jsou dráhy číslo 1 a 2 se ztrátou nějakých zhruba 7-8 metrů na 3. a 4. místě.
Well, 250 meters in, let's jump straight to the action with Robert.
Well, for anybody who knows anything at all about our sport at this level, it won't surprise you to hear that Martin and Valent Sinkovic are leading the way home for Croatia at this early stage after 300 meters. Back in the boat in which they won the gold medal at the Rio Olympics. They then switched to the pair and continued their triumph all the way through to a gold at Tokyo. Now back in the double. They have won every single international event this season, and after 500 they have a narrow lead over Moldova. 3rd position at the moment, Mumolo and Rambaldi for Italy, narrowly ahead of Cuba and Serbia, with Finland 6th.
Tak ano, 3. čtvrtfinále a máme zde asi nejznámější dvojsky, aktuálně bratry Martina a Valenta Sinkoviče z Chorvatska, kteří jsou na 1. pozici podle očekávání. Zajímavě se jí drží i veslaři z Moldavska, Ivan Korsunov, letos 2. na mistrovství světa do 23 let na dvojskifu. Ale s jiným párťákem než je teď, protože na háčku mu sedí Cyril Vystoči Sestakov. A pak, kdo je na 3. místě, jsou to Italové v 2. dáze, David Mamulo a Luca Rambaldi. Ještě pojďme něco zmínit o bratřích Sinkovičových. Jezdí spolu na mezinárodní scéně už od roku 2008. Převážně času jezdili dvojskiv, někdy byli v párové 4, ale nejzajímavější období bylo asi minulý olympijský cyklus od roku 2017 do roku 2001, kde byli spolu na 2 bez a i loni vyhráli olympijské hry, ale na 2. Teď jsou zpátky na dvojskifu.
Well, such is the dominance of the Croatians that I suspect that nobody in their right mind is going to try and beat them here in this quarter-final, where the other 5 doubles are racing for 2nd and 3rd. And as we approach the halfway mark, well, credit to the Moldovans, Vysotsky and Sestakov and Korsunov, the only Moldovan entry here at this year's World Championships, but they were sitting right up alongside the Sinkovic brothers, who were content to just sort of let them sit there. They haven't yet opened up the big guns through the second half, so the 1 and 2 remains Croatia and Moldova. Mumolo and Rambaldi have used the second quarter to good effect to take on half a length advantage ahead of Filipovic and Bedic for Serbia, who are in 4th place. They could still come back, the Serbs, but they're going to have to build and use the 3rd quarter to good effect, because I suspect that we're going to see, once the 1500 meter signal is passed, we're going to see the Sinkovic brothers really go for it. The Cuban double over on the grandstand side beginning to be dropped off the stern end of the pack. Finland, I regret to say, outpaced on this occasion.
Oh, and nice. Now I think that we can see what the Sinkovic brother are, but as you said, we will see it for 100% on last 500 meters. Tak, teď pomalu už vidíme dvojskyf bratrů Sinkovičových ve své plné síle. Teď malinko zase zvolnili, dali ten nástup na 750 metrech, teď šli s frekvencí trochu níž, ale počkejme si na poslední 500. To doopravdy uvidíme bratry Sinkovičové. Jinak, jak to vypadá z pořadí za nimi? Na druhém místě Italové těsně s Moldavci a za nimi se drží Srbové v 5. dráze, které taky nepřestávají pomýšlet na postup. Bohužel loď v 1. dráze Kuba a v 6. dráze Finsko už asi jsou ze hry o postupová místa pryč. Ale 400 meters, Robert.
Yeah, 400 remaining, and the Sinkovic brothers put their foot on the gas and move out to the clear lead. Now, things looking dangerous for Moldova. They are less race savvy than the other crews on the water, and I suspect they allowed themselves to be dragged along by the world and Olympic champions. Have they got what it takes to hang on to that second position? Because Serbia and Italy looking so dangerous. The Moldovans were flagging just level with the 1500 meter signal. They really got to throw everything at it inside the last 250. This is where the rates begin to build. Croatia has clear water at the head of the field, but we've still got 3 crews racing for just 2 places, Pete.
Yeah, this is a real sprint off now. The Moldovans holding down at 37, but we've got Italy and Serbia up over 40 strokes a minute now. So very different tactics for this finishing sprint. Let's see who it's going to pay off for. Moldova just clinging on to 1 centimetre or 2 up in front of Italy. Although, as I say, Italy now moving through.
Chorvaté, kteří dokázali vybojovat zlatou medaili už v roce 2016 na olympijských hrách, si jedou pro první místo, teď už hlídají situaci. Tohle to je ale souboj o 2. a 3. pozici, protože reprezentanti Srbska také bojí o to, aby postoupili ještě poslední desítky metrů a budeme znát výsledky.
Croatia for the win. Let's see who's going to take second and third. It's going to be Moldova for second. Third goes to Italy, perhaps half a metre ahead of Serbia for fourth. So that means Croatia, Moldova and Italy go through to the AB semi-final. 4th place, Serbia, ahead of 5th place Cuba, and 6th place Finland will go to the CD semi.
Závodníci Srbska jeli výborně tu závěrečnou 500. Oni totiž ztráceli výrazně před poslední částí, před posledním mezičasem. Nakonec jim to ale těsně nevyšlo, ten rozdíl pouhých 0,7. Italové tedy 3. Můžeme vidět také moldavské reprezentanty na 2. místě a suverénní Chorvaté, kteří letos dokázali vybojovat titul na mistrovství Evropy a vyhrát 3 závody světového poháru, si dojeli pro první místo a jasný postup.
Next up, the 4th and last quarterfinal for the men's double sculls, and indeed the last quarterfinal of our morning. Lining up here then, we've got Christoph Ax and Mate Bachsky for Hungary in lane 1, Jan Oskar Stabe Helvig and Christopher Brunn for Norway in 2, Hugo Boucheron and Mathieu Androdias for France in 3, Conan Patsaya and Philip Doyle for Ireland in 4, Soren Koshik and Thomas Pfeiffer for the USA in lane 5, and then completing the field for Uzbekistan in lane 6, Makrojbek Mamatkulov and Shakboz Kolmrzaev.
Dvojskyv mužů a poslední čtvrtfinále opět ve středních drahách hledejme ty největší papírové favority, protože právě oni zvládli velmi dobře také rozjížďky. Francouzi zatím na 1., Irové na 2. místě. No už s výraznějším rozestupem dokázali tyhle 2 posádky ujet zbytku startovního pole.
Already over 600 metres in, France out in front. Not much of a surprise that, but who's going to go with them into the AB semi-final? We'll hear that from Richie.
Slightly biased of me to say that looking at the moment it's the Irish crew in lane number 4. They got off to the better start, leading it into the 500 metre mark. They were in lane number 4. They had opened up a lead over the chasing pack, but since then, just over the last 200 metres, the Olympic champions France in lane number 3, Boucheron and Andreas, they've moved out now just about a 3/4 length lead, so they're certainly not having it their own way. And the Irish double of Pazia and Doyle, Philip Doyle in the stroke seat there, celebrated his birthday this week, and he's continuing the celebrations on in style here. They're opening up now a little bit of clean water over the chasing crews from Norway in lane number 2 and the USA. The USA got off to the slowest start. They were actually 6th coming off of the start, but they've done really well there in the last couple of 100 metres to get back into contention for the third qualifying spot, and that's exactly what they're doing now, putting pressure on the Norwegians in lane number 2. Clearwater back then to our 5th and 6th competitors, the Hungarian crew, new combination from the Hungarians in lane number 1, and the Uzbeki crew in lane number 6. So furthest away for the enclosure. They're back in 5th and 6th at the moment, but no doubt about our leaders, Jan, at the moment. Coming through 500, it is the Olympic champions, the French double of Boucheron and Andreas.
Yeah, France at the front with a nice lead, but we are looking for the battle for the 2nd and 3rd position. Na čele tohoto závodu není nikdo jiný než olympijští vítězi z Tokia, francouzský dvojskyv Hugo Boucheron a Mathieu André, který se představí poprvé v této sezóně v této kombinaci. Startovali v minulých jízdách na skifech nebo dvojskifech s jinými veslaři. Ale podívejme se opět například na posádku Norska, kde opět na štrokovské pozici sedí bývalý lehkář, který už nemusí se omezovat ve své dietě během roku a učí tak svého těžšího kolegu, jak je to veslovat. A toto duo se jim opět vyplácí, stejně jako se to vyplácelo Španělům a české posádce Honzovi Cincibuchovi a Kubovi Podrazilovi. Quite close battle we see between the Norwegian and Irish and USA, and Norwegian with a former lightweight at the stroke, the Christopher Brun.
Yeah, very exciting finish for the 3 qualifying spots. I have to say I'm very impressed with the USA to make it back. They were 6th coming off of the first 500, and here they are now in 4th place, challenging for the qualifying spot to move on to the semi-finals. The Irish crew looking well in 2nd place at the moment. Really long, powerful strokes from the double scull from Ireland. Conan Pazia in the bow seat, a recent bronze medalist at the under-23s in the double, making the step up here to senior rowing and rowing very well here with a new combination with Philip Doyle in the stroke seat. So they're going well, but really the crew to watch here at the USA, because they're pushing and pushing all the time, and they are now looking to take the 3rd qualifying spot from Norway in lane number 2. There's about 400 metres left in this. No doubt about the leaders, the favourites for the race, the French Olympic champions at the moment, leading this one out. Ireland still holding on to 2nd, so really great race from the Irish double. They're powering on, just taking the rate up again here and pushing on to try hold on to 2nd place. They're taking the Americans with them in lane number 5. They're the 1, 2 and 3 from what I can see. The Norwegians now trying to put the squeeze back on. Pete, who are you calling it for that 3rd qualifying spot?
Oh, it's too difficult, this, isn't it? I think the Americans have the momentum of moving up through the progression and past Norway here. Not by much, though. You can see it's very little splitting it as they come up and draw level with Ireland. So Ireland in the danger zone. Pazia and Doyle could well lose out here if they can't respond to this charge. So that sees the Irish go to 44 to try and hold it off.
A znovu se nám opakuje situace souboje o 3. poslední postupové místo mezi tím, co Irové a Francouzi už si hlídají své pozice. Irové teď musí ale také zabrat, tak tohle to je ještě hodně dramatické, nejenom o 3., ale také o 2. Mezi tím, co Francouzi si pojedou pro první jasnou postupovou pozici.
France are going to hold on to the win, but it's anybody's guess for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. 2nd goes to the USA. 3rd, I think, was Ireland, just ahead of Norway is what I saw there, but it was by millimetres, if anything. So France won that in a time of 6:20.58. We're going to have to wait for the photo finish here. The USA were indeed 2nd, and then the crucial 3rd spot went to Norway, and we'll find out by how much in just a minute. It was Norway by 0.03 of a second ahead of 4th place Ireland, and then we'll see them go through to the CD semi-final. So going to the AB semi-final are France, the USA and Norway.
Ještě na posledních 150 metrech byla posádka Irska na druhém místě, stejně jako v předcházejících mezičasech. Nakonec to ale nestačilo o 3 setiny na postup. Protože Norové jsou třetí, na druhém místě Spojené státy americké, tak tohle to byl opravdu dojezd jako hrom. Francouzi, Američané a Norové postupují do semifinále.
Next up, we've got 2 repêchages for the women's double sculls now. First 3 going through to the A-B semi-final and the rest to the C-final. Lining up here then, Violaine Ernut and Margot Bayol for France in lane 1, Thea Helseth and Jenny Marie Rorvik for Norway in 2, Xu Yingying and Shen Shuangmei for China in 3, Anastasia Kozenkova and Diana Serebryanska for Ukraine in 4, Evangelia Fraku and Stiliana Natsiolu for Greece in 5, and then Cuba in lane 6, Yariulvis Kobas Garcia and Milena Venega Cancio.
Právě teď nás čekají 2 opravné jízdy dvojskyf u žen. Mezi tím, co jsme sledovali start, tak už informace o tom, že Číňanky jsou na prvním pozici, na druhém místě pak Norky, Ukrajinky, to jsou dráhy číslo 2 a 4, tak tady jsou ty nejsilnější týmy, řekyně v 5. dráze také, ale jedou výborně. Tak zatím je to hodně vyrovnané a můžeme to tak říct i o francouzskách. Počkáme si na první mezičas.
Coming towards 500 metres in, Robert, we're looking at a great side-on shot as they approach that 500-metre marker.
Yes, and what you'll be able to see, if you can see the video screen, is that China in contention with Greece and possibly France on the grandstand side for the early lead. China the fastest of these 6 in Sunday's heats, where the Greeks were some 19 seconds off that time. But Fraiku and Natsiulu have really learnt something from that heat. These 2 young athletes, only 19 and 17 years of age respectively, and they have now taken on the lead ahead of China. This is a fantastic performance, but the field behind them is so packed. It's amazing. We had 4 crews within 3 seconds of each other in Sunday's heats, and that's being reflected at this early stage. 750 metres gone of this quarter final, and it's still Greece in the lead.
Tak 750 metrů za námi této opravné jízdy dvojskyfů žen a řekyně si drží vedení. Chvíli se na ně dotahoval dvojskyf z Číny, ale řekyně odrazili jejich nástup a stále si drží vedení. Řekyně jsou velmi mladé veslařky, 19 a 17 let, průměrný věk, tedy 18 let na dospělé mistrovství světa, velmi mladé. Taky bych ještě zmínil o těchto veslařkách z Řecka, že veslovali letos na mistrovství světa juniorů a do 23 let. Každá ale v jiné posádce. Evangelia Frankou, která tady sedí na háčku, závodila na dvojce bez v kategorii do 23 let a získala zlatou medaili. A na háčku Styliany Natisoula závodila na dvojskyfu v juniorské kategorii a získala také zlatou medaili. Takže věřím, že jsou namlsáni zlatem a budou chtít zlato i získat na tomto šampionátu a zatím vypadají, že jsou na správné cestě.
1,000 metres gone and it's still Greece in the lead. A quick word to say welcome to all our listeners on worldrowing.com. I know the audio feed has just been re-established so that for those of you who are unable to get the video feed, you can hear all the action from us here in Racice. And these young Greeks leading the way home, both of them having won world championship titles in the last fortnight. Yes, that's right. Fraiku in the bow seat, a world champion in the under-23 pair, whereas her young partner Natsiulu, a world champion in the junior quad on Lake Varese just a couple of weeks ago. But the more senior in years and pedigree athletes opposition are coming up with 12:50 gone and things looking dangerous as Kozenkova and Serebryanska for Ukraine come up alongside. Helseth and Rorvik are really moving through in lane 2. So we've got this trio of doubles now leading the way home. Can the young Greeks hang on to that lead? China slipping off the pace despite being the fastest of these 6 in Sunday's heats. They've got a lot of work to do if they're going to come back in the action.
Yes, as you said, now I'm watching Norwegian double. They're getting higher, and I think that Greece are lose their power. Tak právě jsme viděli slušný nástup norek v dráze číslo 2, které se možná za chvilinku i dostanou do vedení. Naopak řekyně tady u nás v 5. dráze začínají malinko ztrácet, ale zatím si drží postupovou 3. pozici. Možná jsme neřekli z této opravné jízdy 3 postupují do semifinále, zbylé 3 jdou do finále C. Takže aktuálně na postupu Ukrajina, druhé Norsko a 3. řekyně. Za nimi kousek Čína a Francie. Veslařky z Kuby se drží vzadu na 6. pozici.
Well, this Ukrainian combination only came together this season in time for the European Championships, finished in the B final, but with that sort of experience under their belts, they've eased through to take on the lead. The Norwegians have steadily improved through the World Cup season, 9th in Poznan, 8th in Lucerne, 7th in the Europeans, and those are our 2 leaders. But the big question is, can the young Greeks hang on? Suddenly the Chinese double are back in the race. We're entering the red boy zone and things looking dangerous for the young Greeks. Flagging now inside the final stages. Oh, this is so sad. China come pushing through into 3rd, Pete.
Yeah, this is an amazing race, but sad to see the young Greeks dropping back. I'm amazed at how tight the competition's been through all of the doubles races we've seen so far today, and indeed the lightweight and men's single sculls earlier. It's been a real tight day of racing so far, but I cannot split who's going to come 3rd and 4th. Will the Greeks have a response here? Because the French are coming up too.
Nesmírně napínavá podívaná, kterou můžeme vidět. Ukrajinky na 1. pozici, vidíme také Norky, které si hlídají postupové 2. místo. Teď už ale francouzsky, ale vidíme tam také další a další závodnice, které jsou v souboji, Číňanky a další lodě, které budou chtít postoupit do semifinále, musí být ale na 3. pozici.
France are now level with China, coming to the last 30 meters. It's going to be on the surge of the stroke, coming up to the line. The win goes to Ukraine ahead of Norway for 2nd, and then it's China by perhaps 10 centimeters ahead of France for 4th. 5th then goes to Greece over on the far side, and Cuba coming in for 6th place. So Ukraine, Norway, and we'll just wait for that final result to be confirmed. I called it as China. It was China, so Ukraine, Norway and China to the AB semi-final, and the rest to the C final.
Celou dobu jsme počítali také s řekyněmi, těm ale opravdu hodně došlo v té závěrečné části. Ta ztráta je masivní. Na poslední 500 ztratili 7 sekund na Ukrajinky, které si jedou pro postup z 1. pozice, Norky na 2. a nakonec to stihly Číňanky, které porazily o pouhých 7 setin vteřiny závodnice reprezentující Francii.
Next up, the 2nd and last repechage for the women's double sculls. Italy in lane 1, Kiri Donati and Stefania Gobbi. Eliza Bollinger and Marie-Lou Duvernay-Tardif for Canada in lane 2. Frauke Hunderling and Pia Greiten for Germany in 3. Nina Wettstein and Fabienne Schweitzer for Switzerland in 4. And then the Czech Republic in lane 5, Markéta Nedolova and Alice Prokešová.
A ve druhé jízdě můžeme sledovat také českou posádku, český dvojskiv, a to konkrétně Markéta Nedělová a Alice Prokešová, závodnice, které jsou po první 500 na 4. místě se ztrátou 4 sekund a 12 setin na vedoucí Kanaďanky.
600 meters in, Canada out in front. The field a little bit more spread out in this repechage, Robert. Richie.
Here. I'll answer to almost anything. You can call me Robert or Richie. Yeah, we're up here now, just going through 750. The Canadians had the better start, getting out to about a half a length lead, coming out of the blocks and rowing very nicely in lane number 2. They're taking with them, right beside them, the German crew in 2nd place at the moment, just by about a canvas off the pace. The Swiss crew in 3rd, and then it's a length back to the Czech Republic in lane number 5 in 4th place. The surprise, though, the Italians our current bronze medalists at the European Championships in lane number 1, were left for dead off the start. Out of the first 500, they were barely in contention and are still off the pace here, but they're just putting a little bit of pressure on the Czech Republic crew in lane number 5 now to come up and challenge for 4th place. 3 crews to qualify, so the Italians have an awful lot of work to do if they want to get back in contention here, especially as we are running up to the 1,000-metre mark. Leading it out still, but coming under a little bit of pressure, it's the Canadian double of Bollinger and Duvari-Tardif. In lane number 2, the Germans putting on a real push now, and it's the Germans just coming through 1,000. Hundling and Greiten just moving into the lead ahead of Canada. The Swiss then in a 3rd place at the moment. But Jan, it's all about the Czech Republic and Italy back in 4th and 5th. Can the Czech Republic hold off the challenge of the Italians?
Yeah, that's also one of the questions. But also there is a question, can the Czech Republic and Italian move to the 3rd and qualifying place, which currently holds the Swiss double scull. Další jízda s českou posádkou na trati číslo 5. Vidíme Markétu Nedělovou na háčku a Alici Prokešovou. Jejich trenér Tomáš Kacovský věří zatím 3 roky veslující Alici Prokešové na štroku a zdá se, že se to vyplácí. V této opravné jízdě holky bojují, nastupují postupně, když se na ně dotírají bronzové medailistky z mistrovství Evropy. Připomínám, bronzové medailistky z mistrovství Evropy, které teď holky předjíždí a vytahují se aktuálně na 3. pozici jedoucí švýcarskou posádku. Připravme se opět na podporu českých závodnic, když se budou blížit do poslední 500. Aktuálně to mají 750 metrů do cíle a zvyšují svou frekvenci a atakují tak švýcarské dvojici, která ovšem odráží, zatím statečně odráží ten jejich nástup, ale držme palce, až to české dvojici vyjde. Markéta se ohlíží a teďkon opět hlásí postupný nástup. Uvidíme, s jakou formou přijedou naše závodnice do poslední 500.
Just over 600 metres to go in the second repechage, the women's double sculls, all about Germany, centre of the course in lane number 3. Frauke Hundling and Pia Greiten, coached by Alexander Schmidt. They're having a fantastic second half of the race here, opening up a Clearwater lead, and it's the Swiss now. Nina Weissen and Fabian Schweitzer in lane number 4, putting pressure on the race leaders at the start, the Canadians. So it's the Swiss coming in to take the 2nd place from the Canadians, but a really exciting finish here, Jan, coming through 500. The Czech crew are getting an overlap with 2nd and 3rd, and they've got work to do if they're going to get back into contention for that 3rd qualifying spot.
Markéta Alice stále na 4. pozici, jenom je to pouze rozdíl jedné lodi. Teď jim Švýcarky malinko poodjeli, ale Kanaďanky také vypadají, že nejsou v úplně nejlepší kondici po té, co vedli nějakou dobu, ale teď se propadají lehce tím polem. Doufujeme, že si toho holky všimli, že tyto Kanaďanky lehce zpomalují a trochu je to nakopne. Trošku i na naše holky začínají tlačit Italky. To jim může pomoci v tom boji o tu pospou 3. příčku. Držme tedy palce, připravme si hlasivky, abychom podpořili holky do jejich závěrečných 250 metrů.
So all the crews just about to start overlapping again as we come with 250 to go in the last repechage of the women's double sculls. Germany looking well in the centre of the course in lane number 3. It's all to play for 2nd between the Swiss and Canada, and a real battle then between the Czech Republic and Italy, putting on a spurt to the finish here. But all the work looks like, Pete, it's going to be the safe 3 crews out in the lead.
Yeah, we've got a perfect chevron formation or arrow shape of boats coming into the last 200 metres here. I can't see the progression to AB semi or C final changing here. It's looking pretty sewn up for Germany, but the question is, Canada or Switzerland for 2nd and Italy or Czech Republic for 4th?
České reprezentantky dál bojují, bohužel už mají výraznější ztrátu, teď se před ně dostávají právě Italky v první dráze, my ale sledujeme 1., 2. a také 3. místo, zatím je to jasně dané Němky a souboj o 2. a 3. místo mezi Kanaďankami a Švýcarkami.
Germany are looking so good for the win here. They're up at 37 strokes a minute. Frauke Hundling, Pia Greiten, a length up on this tussle between Canada and Switzerland. Over the line, Germany take the win, and then 2nd goes to Switzerland. Half a canvas ahead of Canada for 3rd. That's the 1, 2, 3 going to the AB semi-final. An amazing sprint finish from Kiri Tonto Donati and Stefania Gobbi of Italy sees them seal up 4th place ahead of Markéta Nedělová and Alice Prokešová for the Czech Republic.
A to znamená, že české reprezentantky Markéta Nedělová a Alice Prokešová jdou do finále C, protože skončily na 5. místě. v téhleté jízdě, ze které postupují Němky, také Švýcarky a Kanaďanky. České reprezentantky tedy bojovaly, sebrali další zkušenosti a budou tak ve finále C.
Next up, we've got two EF semi-finals for the men's single sculls. So if you're not familiar with the finals system, an A final contests places 1 through 6. That's where the medals are won. A B final places 7 through 12. A C final places 13 to 18. A D final 19 to 24. And then an E final places 25 to 30. And an F final places 31 to 36. So in this EF semi-final for the men's singles, they're contesting places to get into either the E final for places 25 to 30 or the F final for places 31 to 36. We've got 5 scullers racing here. Bakr Al-Dulaimi for Iraq in lane 1, Viktor Pivac for Serbia in 2, Bahman Naziri for Azerbaijan in 3, Andrej Pinto for Portugal in 4 and Jan Potacek for the Czech Republic in lane 5.
A v tuto chvíli usledujeme skifaře v souboji o finále E, tedy první až třetí místo do finále E, zbytek tak do finále F, to znamená, že už se bojuje spíše o konec té druhé desítky celkového pořadí na mistrovství světa a v tomto souboji je také v dráze číslo 5 český reprezentant Jan Potůček.
Well, they're going through 750 already, so we're going to jump straight to the action. Robert, it's looking good for the local favourite here, Jan Potacek.
It is indeed, yes. Thanks, Pete. I was going to explain the final system myself, so I can get stuck in and talk about the race, where, as you say, Potacek, the newcomer from the Czech Republic, here at his first World Championships. He's gone for the early lead. He's been at 37, 38 strokes a minute, leading by some 2/3 of a length ahead of Naziri of Azerbaijan and Pivac from Serbia.
Tak a my sledujeme dalšího českého veslaře. Je to semifinále EF. Rozhoduje se o to, kdo půjde do finále E, kdo půjde do finále F. Ve finále E se bojuje o 25. místo, ve finále F o 31. místo. No a pro českého diváka se na to nádherně dívá, jelikož máme kilometr za sebou a Honza Potůček vede tento závod s náskokem jedné lodi přes Azerbajdžáncem Bahnamem Nasirim a za ním se ještě těsně drží na 3. místě Viktor Pivac. 4. místo patří Portugalci Andrému Pintovi a na 5. místě Iránčan Bakr Al-Dulaimi.
Well, Potacek still hanging on to this lead. This is a surprising performance from the Czech sculler, the slowest of these 5 in Monday's repechage, holding on to half a length ahead of the Azerbaijan sculler Naziri, who has inherited the title of as that country's leading sculler from Alexander Alexandrov, who held sway as that nation's leading sculler through the last couple of Olympic cycles. But we're 12:50 in, that's the 1 and 2, so the race on for the 3rd sculler to go through to that E final, racing for places 25 to 30. Currently slot held by Viktor Pivac, who's contested a couple of the World Cup series on the European circuit so far this year, finished down the rankings in 19th at both Belgrade and Lucerne, and he's maintaining that half a length advantage of Andrej Pinto of Portugal. Pinto coming into this regatta straight off the back of the under-23s. Only 20 years of age, but he's just gone for another bit of a push. So that's where the real race is between Serbia and Portugal.
Tak máme 600 metrů do cíle a Honza Potůček stále ve vedení, i když se na něj těsně dotahuje Azerbajdžánec Nasiri. Všichni, co jste teďka na tribunách, pojďte Honzovi fandit. Myslím, že Honza je trošku zklamaný z toho, že nepostoupil do čtvrtfinále, tak pojďme mu spravit chuť tím, že ho podpoříte tady v semifinále EF. Honza Potůček je svěřenec Jana Navrátila, trenéra české párovky. Tak, Honzo, teď pojď, máš 400 metrů do cíle a máš náskok půl lodi před Azerbajdžáncem. Všichni na tribunách, fanděte, ať si to Honza vychutná, 350 metrů. Samozřejmě věřím, že postup už si udrží, jelikož na 4. místě jedoucí Srb ztrácí už několik vteřin, stejně tak i jako Iráčan Al-Dulajmi. Tak a my máme 300 metrů do cíle, všichni ty tribuny, pojďte trochu ožít a podpoříme Honzu, pojďte teď.
Goodness me, just as Martin was talking in the local language, Pinto put his foot on the gas. He took the rate up to 38 and he has completely blown the Serbian opposition, and that sculler is completely shattered, just tapping it home. Up in the lead, Potuček and Naziri have eased the rate right down. The qualifiers for the E-final already set. No need for fireworks inside the final stages. Potuček leading the way home for the Czech Republic.
Yeah, it seems everybody's eased off ever so slightly coming to the last 200 meters now. They know the positions that they're going to be progressing through in. The only one really up there still at race pace is Pinto still. I think he set himself a goal of trying to take the win from being back in 3rd/4th place, and he's moving up and now pushing and could well actually win it here. It's an amazing final sprint whilst everybody else does ease off.
Ano, první 3 jsou téměř jasní, ale teď se to musí ještě rozhodit. Jan Potůček teď musí zabrat tak, aby i v téhleté jízdě ukázal velkou svoji jízdu. Portugalec a Azerbajdžánec chtějí také vybojovat první pozici. Mezitím, co se tedy teď už André Pinto dostává na první místo, dostáváme se také i my do posledních metrů závodu.
André Pinto crosses the line for the win, a length ahead of Bahman Naziri for Azerbaijan, and then 3rd place is Jan Potuček of the Czech Republic. So those 3 go through to the E-final, where they'll contest places 25 to 30 in the World Championship ranking, and that means that Viktor Pivac for Serbia and Bakir Al-Dulaimi for Iraq will progress to the F-final.
Dílčí úspěch pro českého reprezentanta Jana Potůčka, který ze 3. místa postupuje do finále E. Na první pozici v této jízdě André Pinto z Portugalska, Bahman Naziri z Azerbajdžánu. Nakonec rychlejší zhruba o 1,5 vteřiny než Jan Potůček, český reprezentant, který už si ale postup samozřejmě pohlídal.
Next up then is the second of the 2 EF semi-finals for the men's singles. Rodrigo Ibrahim for Lebanon in lane 1, Stephen Cox for Zimbabwe in 2, Yolnau Karinen for Finland in lane 3, Alexandros Sissimidis for Cyprus in 4, Canton Antonielli for Monaco in 5, and Privel Hinkati for Benin in lane 6.
O finále E a o finále F se jede také v této jízdě, to znamená druhá jízda, konkrétně skifu mužů. Už máme za sebou úvodní 500. Fin Yolnau Karinen je na prvním místě o 1 vteřinu a 94 setin před závodníkem z Monaka. Pojďme se ale dál podívat na průběh právě téhleté jízdy, kde první 3 postupují do finále E.
Well, 750 or so meters in already. Richie, surprising to see Canton Antonielli for Monaco here in this EF semi.
Absolutely, he's the quality rower here. A good season from him. He became 17th in World Cup 1, placed 5th in World Cup 2, and 8th in the Europeans, and he's also an Olympian, placing 15th in the Tokyo Olympics. So it's a big surprise to see him contesting the EF semi-final here at the World Championships. He's in lane number 5, and currently he's in 2nd place. Out in the lead, it's the Finn, Yolnau Karinen, in lane number 3, leading it out, but a 1 length lead over the Monaco sculler in 2nd place, and the Cypriot sculler Cypriot in 3rd place at the moment. They're the 1, 2 and 3, some way back then to 4th place Zimbabwe, and the Benin sculler in 5th, and Lebanon in 6th. A lot of these countries part of World Rowing's development program, trying to increase participation in maybe non-traditional countries. So it's great to see the effects of that program kicking in here and having countries like Lebanon, Benin represented in the World Championships. Out at the front, Gush coming through 1,000 meters. It's still the Finn leading it it out, but he's not moving away from the field here. And if anything, the scullers in second and third are pushing each other on and maintaining contact with the leader. All top three are in place at the moment to go into final E. So if they continue as is and keep the distance that they have at the moment ahead of Zimbabwe, it's looking good for these three to qualify. Just coming up with 750 to go. Jan, it is the Finnish sculler there in lane 3, looking good, and he's in Empacher boat, leading this one out just ahead of Monaco and Cyprus.
Yeah, Joel Naukaroinen leading this race from the start till this point, 1,250 meters. Nás zajímá, kteří tři skifaři se tedy připojí k Honzovi Potůčkovi v bojích o umístění ve finále E, a zdá se, že už je téměř rozhodnuto, neříkejme to teda dopředu, ale muselo by se stát opravdu něco nečekaného, aby první tři závodníci na trati číslo 3, 4 a 5, finský skifař Joel Naukaroinen, kyperský skifař Alexander Cismidis a skifař z Monaka Quentin Antonielli, nepostoupili do toho finále E. Jak už bylo řečeno i Richiem, tak trochu překvapení, že právě v tomto semifinále EF je monacký skifař Quentin Antonielli, který byl 8. na mistrovství Evropy a 5. na závodě druhého světového poháru v Poznani. And those three scullers, nothing changing in front, 600 to the finish line.
Yeah, 600 to go here in the second semi-final E and F in the men's single sculls. Antonielli of Monaco now, we're just putting on a push to move into second place, but still leading it out. It's the Finnish sculler, and in third place Cyprus. So they're the 1, 2 and 3. It's Clearwater back then to Stephen Cox of Zimbabwe in fourth place, and then some way back to the scullers from Benin and Lebanon. Rodrigo Ibrahim, I believe he might be the first Lebanese sculler competing at the World Championship, so great to see him, and Prival Hinkati of Benin competing here. But out in front with about 700 to go, there's no doubt about our three qualifiers who are going to move into final E in the men's single scull. The lead just changing slightly depending on who puts on a little push here, and as I say that, I'm looking at the Cypriot sculler Simonidis just moving in to challenge for second place, but the Finn and the Monacan sculler just responding to it. They've taken the rate down here. They're in control. Pete, a nice leisurely race compared to the double scull photo finishes we've seen earlier on. Just to close out the men's single scull, Finland, Cyprus and Monaco looking good here.
Yeah, very, very chilled compared to those sprint finishes that were so needed in the quarterfinals that we saw earlier on this morning. But as you say there, Richie, is looking pretty good for Naukaroinen of Finland up there at 33, although just as we say it, here comes Antonielli. The Monegascan goes up to 37. I think he just wants to punch out a win here in this semi-final. We saw him the other day. He was a little bit disappointed in the previous round to end up in this EF semi-final. So I think he'll want to at least stamp his authority in this semi-final.
Skvělý souboj o první, druhé a třetí postupové místo do finále E. Samozřejmě během 65 zemí, které můžeme vidět na mistrovství světa, jsou také zástupci, kteří už nestíhají tomu rychlému tempu, teď už ale do cíle. Jak to bude vypadat právě v souboji o finále E?
Last few strokes, Canton Antonielli for Monaco is going to take the win in this second EF semi-final for the men's single sculls. He crosses the line a length ahead of Joel Naukaroinen for Finland, who's got 3/4 of a length on Alexandros Zisimidis for Cyprus. They go through to the E final. Coming in for fourth place then, we have here on the near side Stephen Cox for Zimbabwe, and then a little bit further back, Privel Hinkati of Benin coming in for fifth, and then completing the field, Rodrigo Ibrahim for Lebanon will place sixth, and we'll see them all again in the F final.
Řeč byla o tom, že Quentin Antonielli z Monaka rozhodně patří výše, pokud se podíváme nejenom na letošní výsledky, je tedy prvním postupujícím, můžeme vidět ale také Fina a nebo zástupce Kypru na druhém a třetím místě. Mezi těmi zeměmi, které spíše sbírají zkušenosti, jsou zástupci Zimbabwe, Libanonu a také Beninu, tak abychom byli kompletní. Právě Privel Hantaki je ještě v tuto chvíli v dráze číslo 6 a pojede ještě jednu jízdu ve finále F.
Last few strokes on this side here for Ibrahim, folks, for Lebanon. Give him a round of applause as he comes to the last 50 meters of this semi-final. We'll see him race again in the F final.
V tuto chvíli tedy sledujeme F-kové finále, to znamená opravdu už poslední jízda pro závodníky, a to konkrétně skifu lehkých vah. Máme za sebou 1 minutu a 30 vteřin a vidíme tedy ty, kteří v tuto chvíli jedou o dílčí umístění na mistrovství světa.
Next race then is the E-final for the lightweight men's single sculls. This is contesting places 25, 26 and 27 in the World Championship rankings for lightweight men's singles. 3 athletes competing here: Amal Yunus for Palestine in lane 1, Shanaka Karyawasam for Sri Lanka in 2, Georgi Kanteladze for Georgia in lane 3.
Tak abychom teď viděli průběžné výsledky na 500, jede se o 25., 26. a 27. místo. Gruzinec Georgi Kanteladze je zatím nejrychlejší z téhleté trojice, dokázal si vybojovat náskok 4 vteřin a 84 setin.
So as these live pictures we're looking at get towards 700 or 750 meters in, let's hear from Robert and Martin.
Well, a clear leader at this relatively early stage in this E-final for Georgi Kanteladze, the Georgian sculler. Looking at the times from the earlier rounds, I see that Kanteladze was the fastest of these 3 in Sunday's heat. He repeated that feat in Monday's repechage, so it really is no surprise to me at least to see that he has established a lead of several lengths clear of Yunus and Karyawasam. Back in second place, well, that's the Palestinian sculler Yunus, who has half a length advantage ahead of Sri Lanka in third.
Tak a my už jsme téměř v polovině tohoto závodu v finále E. Je to takzvaný souboj o 25. místo. Ve skifu lehkých mužů bylo přihlášeno celkem 20, nebo startovalo, upřesníme to, startovalo celkem 27 lodí. Toto je souboj o 25., 26. a 27. místo. Podle očekávání vede Gruzinec Georgi Kanteladze, kterému uniklo čtvrtfinále pouze o 1,7 vteřiny. Byl v opravné jízdě na první nepostupové pozici. Byl to velmi, co si pamatuju, velmi napínavý závod, dramatický, a uniklo mu to 1,7 vteřiny. Ale tak teď si spraví chuť vítězstvím ve finále E. Na druhém místě se drží veslař z Palestiny, Palestinec Amal Yunus, a třetí místo aktuálně drží veslař ze Srí Lanky Shanaka Karyawasam.
Well, the position's becoming even clearer as the second half opens up. Kanteladze leading the way home for Georgia, and Amal Yunus, the Palestinian in lane 1, has established a clear lead ahead of Karyawasam for Sri Lanka. All 3 of these nations, obviously less developed rowing nations around the world, sending a relatively small squad here to this year's World Championships. But don't forget that this is important not only for these athletes, but for the nations where they come from, many of whom are in line for development funding from World Rowing to help grow our favourite sport in those lesser developed rowing nations. And the fact that they have participated in the World Championships will bring these athletes extra kudos that will help increase central funding potential when they return back to their countries with their world ranking, because that's the other important thing about every athlete, every crew that comes to a World Championship goes away with a world ranking as they build their pedigree to what they hope is Olympic qualification in a couple of years' time. Approaching 1500, and it's still Georgia leading Palestine and Sri Lanka.
Tak ano, máme 500 metrů do cíle. A já jsem se před tímto závodem Roberta ptal, o čem se tak dá mluvit v tomto závodě, jelikož je to závod v podstatě předposlední místo, a Robert mě úplně opravil, zarazil, že se v tom dá mluvit přesně o těchto rozvojích zemích. Jestli jste teďka někdo poslouchal v angličtině, tak Robert mluvil o tom, že to jsou veslaři z rozvojových zemích a pomáhají vybudovat to veslování v dané zemi, v Palestině, Srí Lance, v Gruzii. Jak se dostanou sem na mistrovství světa, přivezou pak domů i jakoby body ze světového poháru, z umístění, i nějaké peníze, a pomáhají tomu rozvoji toho celého veslování v dané zemi. A pro tu zemi jsou to v uvozovkách i hrdinové. Ale tak máme 300 metrů do cíle, stále ve vedení Gruzijec Georgi Canteladze, pořadí za ním se tím nemění a máme 250 metrů. Uvidíme, jestli to Gruziec ještě rozbalí a předvede nám nějaký finish. Možná vy, co jste na tribunách, pojďte zafandit i těmto veslařům, i když je to pouze v uvozovkách, pouze finále pojďme je podpořit a jdeme teďka zafandit všem. Všichni školáci, co jste na tribunách, pojďme, fandíme, všichni dobrovolníci také.
So 200 meters remaining in this E-final of the lightweight men's singles. Canteladze of Georgia has dominated this E-final virtually from the outset, leads the way home over Yunus of Palestine and Karyavasam of Sri Lanka.
Yeah, I can't see anything changing here. Canteladze for Georgia out there at 32 strokes a minute. It's been a great rhythm he's set to take him all the way down this course, and will be walking away with place 25 in the World Rowing Championship rankings for the lightweight men's singles, holding out ahead of the Palestinian Yunus, who's looking good for 26, and Karyavasam from Sri Lanka looking good for 27.
Tohle jsou opravdu zkušenosti k nezaplacení, závodníci, o kterých možná uslyšíme v dalších letech, anebo o jejich nástupcích. Teď už tedy Gruzínec Canteladze dojíždí na prvním a celkově 25. místě.
That's them across the line. So Georgi Canteladze for Georgia takes place 25 in the championship rankings for lightweight men's, ahead of Yunus in 26th. And then the last few strokes for Shanaka Karyavasam of Sri Lanka to take 27.
Do tváře právě závodníka, který dokázal zvítězit v téhleté jízdě, je to takzvané finále F, opravdu už se pohybujeme ve třetí desítce, tak to ale budeme sledovat třeba i v jiných kategoriích v průběhu mistrovství světa, abychom byli ale kompletní, tak reprezentant a zástupce Srí Lanky dojíždí právě v tuto chvíli a má za sebou světový šampionát ve skifu mužů.
Now, folks, we've got the last race of our day. It's the E-final for the lightweight men's double sculls. Hong Kong, China in lane 1, Chan Chi-fung and Chiu Hin-chun. Egypt in lane 2, Ahmed Abdalal and Mustafa Kandil. Kazakhstan in lane 3, Anastas Shashkov and Alexander Afanasyev. Uzbekistan in 4, Sabirjon Safarolyev and Shakhzod Nurmatov. And then Algeria in lane 5, Busif Mohamed Belhaj and Mohamed Abduruf Jumai.
Ještě jednu jízdu a jedno zajímavé finále s označením E nabízíme právě v tuto chvíli Hongkong, Egypt, Kazachstán, Uzbekistán a Alžírsko. Další zajímavé země a my jsme moc rádi, že jsou společně s námi na mistrovství světa. Po první 500 Uzbekistánci už si vytvořili zajímavý náskok, Egypťany na druhém a Kazachstánci na třetím místě. To se samozřejmě může měnit v průběhu dalších mezičasů i cílové rovinky.
Already coming towards halfway, it's Uzbekistan out in front, not by much though here, Richie, leading ahead of Egypt.
There was very little between the crews coming through the 500-meter mark, but since then the Uzbeki crew in lane number 4 have pushed on and opened up just over a 1-length lead over the Egyptian crew in second place. They're the 1 and 2 at the moment. Chinese Hong Kong in third place in lane number 1 and just a length back further than to Algeria, and Uzbekistan bringing up the rear in 5th place at the moment. Just gone through 1,000 meters. Really nice row here from the Uzbeki crew in lane number 4. Very strong, powerful rowing, long strokes and great technique, and they are pushing on here, but not having it their own way, as the Egyptians and the crew from Hong Kong are pushing on as well in 2nd and 3rd place. And as I say that, I can see the Algerians nearest to us in lane number 5, rating a little bit lower than the rest of the crews in this race, but really powerful in the water, and they're doing their best to get back in touch. But Jan, coming up to 7:50 to go, there's no doubt about the leaders here. The crew in lane number 4, Uzbekistan, looking good.
Yeah, and I think we will also experience really tight battle between the Hong Kong and the Egypt. Posledních 750 metrů máme do cíle posledního dnešního finálového závodu, je to finále E o 25. místo. Tito borci sem přijeli bojovat o každé místo, což předvádí i teď v jejich finálové jízdě. Na prvním místě se usadila v trati číslo 4 jedoucí uzbekistánská posádka, a kterou teď pomalinku ji sjíždí, možná schyluje se nám tady k souboji o to druhé místo v této finálové jízdě mezi Hongkongem a Egyptem. Takže to vypadá opět na velmi těsný dojezd o to druhé finálové místo ve finále E.
So coming up to the 500 meters to go, this is the F and E final of the lightweight men's double sculls. No doubt about the leaders there. Uzbekistan powering away and continuing to move away from the chasing pack. They're leading it out and rowing very nicely in lane number 4. The crew from Hong Kong now in lane number 1, Chan Chi-fung and Chiu Hin-hyun. Now putting on a real push here coming through the 1500 meter mark. This is the last race that these guys are going to have at the regatta, so they're after putting absolutely everything into it, and have now moved into second place ahead of the Egyptians, who are in third. They have a clear water lead over Algeria back in fourth, and the Kazakhstan crew back in fifth place at the moment. A really nice last 300 meters from the crew from Hong Kong to move into second. I can't see them pushing on here and challenging our leaders, which from the outset has been the crew Shashkov and Safarolov and Nurmatov from Uzbekistan in lane number 4. Pete, they look like the crew, class crew here coming in to take the win in our last race of the day, this F and E final of the men's lightweight double sculls.
Yeah, it's a great race by Uzbekistan. Sobirjon Safarolyev and Shakzod Nurmatov leading the way here and continuing to build that margin over the fast-moving Hong Kong-Chinese combination, Chan Chi-fung and Chiu Hin-chun, who have mowed past Egypt as those stood still. A great performance from Hong Kong-China. They were fourth through the 500, third through the 1,000, second at 1,500, and it's an impressive performance from them. I think the rest of the positions to remain unchanged here in the last 100.
Uzbekistánský dvojsky v lehkých vah jede opravdu skvěle už od začátku, od prvního mezičasu si drží a navyšuje náskok. Teď dojede také první ve finále E, to znamená na 25. místě, počkáme si i na další pořadí.
Uzbekistan take the win in this E-final of the lightweight men's double sculls, nearly 3 lengths ahead of Hong Kong, China, and then coming in for next place we've got Egypt. These are positions 25, 26, 27, and then 28th place will go to Algeria over on the far side, and 29 to Kazakhstan. So that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 places in this E-final for the lightweight men's doubles.
Od 25. až do 29. místa konečného pořadí mistrovství světa v Račicích můžeme vidět jednotlivé posádky. Uzbekistán tedy 25. následují Hongkong, Egypt, teď už také dojeli ti, kteří reprezentují Alžírsko, no a už máme výsledek také kazachstánského dvojskifu lehkých vah. Takové tedy byly závody, které už nám ukončují závěrečný 4. program mistrovství světa.
Well, folks, what another great day of racing. We've done 4 days of racing. We're halfway through this championship week. An amazingly beautiful day weather-wise as well. Barely any wind whatsoever. Nice and sunny and cool, so that keeps all the athletes nice and cool and fresh when they're out there racing. So beautiful conditions here at the Labe Arena in Racice. And I've thoroughly enjoyed today's racing in particular. I mean, we must have had 5, 6, maybe even 7 photo finishes. The racing was so close, particularly through those quarterfinals earlier on. And it just sets us up for the AB semi-finals that we can look forward to later this weekend. And it just shows us how tight the competition's going to be. So lots to look forward to, but we're done for today with regards to racing. So we're going to wrap up here and say a huge thank you again to all of the volunteers and officials who've been out there tirelessly making sure that the event runs so smoothly and on time, and everybody's got fair conditions for racing and well umpired as well. So a huge thank you to everybody out there making today such a great success. So thank you to all of the commentary team we've had out there as well. Robert Jahan Jones and Martin Schumer in one car, and Brian Ritchie Richardson and Jan Hayek in the other car. It's been a great day of racing. Just to remind all of the athletes that if you haven't yet been to the voting booth next to the New Wave World Rowing merchandise tent, do head down there when you get the chance. Make sure you bring your athlete accreditation with you. You can cast your ballot in the vote for the Athletes Commission election. As I've said before, 20 nominations to be selected from to choose 10 Athlete Commission members for the coming period. So go down to the tent next to the New Wave World Rowing merchandise stalls. But in the meantime, it's a huge thank you from me. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow when racing starts again at 9:30, same time as it did today. So my name's Peter Hanlon. You've been listening to me through the course of this week, and I'm joined up here in the tower by Miro Lentz, my Czech co-commentator. So on behalf of both of us and the Sports Press team, thanks ever so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you for tomorrow's batch of racing. Hope you have a great afternoon. See you tomorrow.
Říkal v tuto chvíli Peter O'Hanlon, můj parťák na komentátorském věži. Samozřejmě vždy máme připraven také první a druhý vůz. Podmínky byly ideální, jsme za to moc rádi, žádný vítr a vše proběhlo tak, jak mělo, i podle jasně daného plánu a určitě to tak proběhne také zítra, kdy čekáme další napínavý den světového šampionátu v Račicích. Přihlásíme se opět v 9 hodin a 30 minut. Zítra nás čekají už i také semifinálové jízdy, takže rozhodně buďte u toho společně s námi. Děkujeme vám všem, teď už jsme viděli také žluté bundy, to znamená dobrovolníky, opět od šéfa organizačního týmu Dušana Macháčka. Velký dík všem, kteří se podílejí na bezchybném chodu mistrovství světa, které Česká republika hostí po dlouhých 29 letech. Ještě jednou moc všem děkujeme, že jste společně s námi. Těšíme se zítra v 9 hodin a 30 minut. Ahoj.